This is the USA Network.
For years, the Philadelphia Flyers were known as bullies on the ice. To win meant the opponent was going to be goaded into brawls, fisticuffs, and all-out mayhem. The Flyers were winners on ice, but their brand of intimidating roughhouse hockey was criticized and ridiculed throughout the professional hockey world. The front office finally realized that a new direction had to be taken in the way the Flyers played. They're still tough, but with a new image which has silenced their old critics. Results have been achieved by adding players like leading goal scorer Tim Kerr, exciting goaltender Pelle Lindbergh, speedy defenseman Mark Howe, and leading scorer Brian Propp. The Flyers hope this new generation will provide another Stanley Cup banner for the roof of the Spectrum, which is where we are tonight as the Philadelphia Flyers meet the Chicago Blackhawks. Next on USA Sports, live from Broad Street, it's the National Hockey League. Tonight's special edition NHL game is brought to you by Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of the day. Welcome to Miller Time. By Mobile Detergent Gasoline, power for your everyday driving needs. By Toyota, who reminds you it's a good feeling to buckle up for safety. By Levi's, jeans, cords, and shirts, for quality and style you can count on. And by Duracell. No regular battery looks like it or lasts like it. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Spectrum in Philadelphia. I'm Al Troutwig, and tonight on USA Sports, the Blackhawks and the Flyers. Last night we saw the Blackhawks win convincingly at home, where they are 11-3 now. But on the road, they've won only 1 out of 14 games. It's hard to believe for the amount of talent that they have. Injuries have been a problem, and now they have an even bigger one. After serving a 4-game suspension, Tom Lysiak was informed today that the NHL Board of Governors have upheld the suspension put against him by Dave Newell, the referee who was on the ice the night that Tom Lysiak upended Ron Foy, the linesman, in that game. So they'll be without Tom Lysiak for 16 more games. The Philadelphia Flyers, on the other hand, got off to a great start this season in the NHL. Then they slumped a little bit. Injuries for them have been a problem as well, and inconsistent goaltending has also been a problem. Well, I am not alone again tonight. Dan Kelly, of course, will be in the broadcast booth side by side with the former head coach of the Washington Capitals, Gary Green, and they'll be calling tonight's game from high above the ice here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, which is also known as the City of Brotherly Love. Appropriate because Darryl Sutter of the Chicago Blackhawks will be playing against Ron and Rich Sutter for the very first time. And also Ben Wilson and Doug Crossman play against their former teams. Back in a moment.
You know, we build one beautiful aircraft.
Yep, for 8 hours a day, we do something we really like doing. Can't beat that.
Oh, yeah? Want 'em, Ben?
Welcome to Miller Time. It's all yours and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. The rich, smooth taste of Miller beer is what you have in mind. Whoa, whoa, welcome to Miller Time.
Welcome to the rich, smooth taste of Miller High Life.
Welcome. Well, you know you're welcome. Welcome. Everybody's welcome. Welcome to Miller Time. Yours and mine.
reassuring to know your car will perform well. That's why stunt driver Michelle Slate relies on mobile detergent gasoline. After all, a car with a clean carburetor performs better. It's as simple as that. Mobile detergent gasoline for your everyday driving needs.
The truck world has just been turned upside down. Introducing the 1984 Toyotas, the next generation of Toyota trucks, the best-looking Toyotas ever. With a new extra cab, the roomiest Toyota ever. And with this SR5, the most powerful Toyota ever, thanks to the first-of-its-kind electronic fuel injection. The truck world will never be the same.
Oh, what a feeling, Toyota.
Hello again from the Spectrum in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, as the Flyers on home ice take on the Chicago Blackhawks. Gary, unusual as it may sound, the Flyers, who are very tough to beat in this building, have lost 2 home games in a row.
Well, I think Bob McCammon is trying to feel out his goaltending situation a bit, Dan. He's been alternating, and I believe he is going to continue to alternate his goaltenders. Their hockey club got started off very well during the course of the season. Still got a pretty admirable record. I think, really, when you take a look at their team, their power play and their penalty killing probably need more explanation than anything else in their hockey club.
Flyers right now 15-9-3 for 33 points, 3rd place in the Patrick division, behind the 1st place Islanders and 2nd place Rangers. Now Richard Anthony with our national anthem.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Boy, would I like to sing like that. Mr. Richard Anthony and the national anthem. The officials for this game, the referee Bob Myers, the 2 linesmen, Ron Asseltine and Will Norris. They are the officiating crew. Murray Bannerman starts in goal for Chicago. 20 games this year, 8-11-1 his record, and a 3.34 goals against. Bobby Froese at the other end will start for Philadelphia. He's played in 11 games, 6 wins, 4 losses, 1 tie, and a 3.26 goals against mark for Bobby Froese. Tonight in the NHL, other games, Montreal is at Boston, Toronto at Hartford, Calgary at Washington, and here we go at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. The Blackhawks, whom you saw beat Buffalo last night on USA, have immediate possession, and Steve Ludzik, number 29, fires the puck into the Philadelphia zone, but the play had been called back when one Chicago player batted the puck ahead with a hand pass to another, and that stops play. Bobby Clark out on the ice, centering Bill Barber on the left side, and over on the right side, Mark Howe, normally a defenseman, but they've moved him up to forward as Howe returns to the lineup for this game. Glenn Cochran for Philadelphia gives it to Howe, now back into the Flyer zone, and Thomas Erickson gives it to Cochran. Cochran checked, and it's Steve Larmer tipping it into the Flyer zone. Now they try and send it to Ludzik. A shot right on by Ludzik, as it was centered by Sutter, and Ludzik's shot stopped by Froese, who had to be very alert.
Well, that was Bobby Froese's first shot of the game, and he had to be alert on this one. Watch as that shot came quickly out of the slot area. We saw Ludzik's line put on quite a performance last night, both in their own end zone and doing some pretty good forechecking against Buffalo. That is a newly formed line that Orville Tessier has put together. Ludzik, Sutter, and Larmer.
Here's another newly formed line. Savard centering Sear, and Preston, a shot from the faceoff by Wilson. Froese handles that. Puck into the corner. Rich Preston tied up by a couple of Flyers, and Philadelphia now working free, and Brian Propp passes it to Brad McCrimmon. Back to Propp at center, but tipped away, and the Flyers drop it back into their own zone to Dvorak. At center to Propp. Now Poulin to Propp, and a shot right on, handled by Bannerman. He took no chance at all. He was going to clear it to the corner, but then changed his mind because of the way the Flyers kind of had that right side well contained. They had a couple of people over on that right side.
Well, Murray Bannerman getting his first shot of the game tonight. For those viewers that watched last night's game in Chicago, Bannerman played a very steady game, but his troops in front of him performed admirably, defensively especially. He didn't have to really get bombarded by shots, as he has in certain games this year.
Flyers get the draw. A shot from the point blocked at the defense. And Bob Murray, number 6 for the Hawks, to Preston. Got it to center. Tim Kerr intercepts that. Back to McCrimmon. McCrimmon back to Kerr in the center ice area. Dennis Sear breaks that up, and now the Flyers clear it to Miroslav Dvorak, who shoots it into the Chicago zone. Wilson back to play the puck, and it's an icing call on the play against Philadelphia.
As we take a look at Chicago's talented defenseman, Doug Wilson, I think most teams coming into this building, Dan, will tend to try and feel out the Flyers, see how they're going to play. This is, years back anyway, a very difficult building to play in. I think a lot of players still wonder as to what type of game Philadelphia will play in here. Oftentimes, Flyers come out of that gate fast, doing a lot of forechecking.
Now it is Ron Sutter facing off with Bill Gardner. Sutter gets the draw. Back of the goal, Doug Crossman. That's broken up, and Philadelphia's Ron Sutter has it again. Over to Darryl Sittler. Sittler to Rich Sutter at center ice. Boyd, the new Chicago defenseman, in difficulty, but able to play it and clear it to center ice. Crossman playing against his old Chicago teammates for the first time, trying to clear it in. Now Crossman again. Crossman once again handles the puck to Brad Marsh. Marsh is checked, and here are the Hawks on the attack. A drop pass back to Marsh. Shot right on, and Bobby Froese makes the save and then throws the puck.
Well, take a look again as Bobby Froese again gets faced with a quick shot. He's had to be alert in the early part of the game. Some good shots coming from the slot area. That worked by Gardner's line with Marsh and Patterson.
You missed my great line. Froese throws the puck. Just
oh, you're
right
hot
by
tonight, Dan.
How you will struggle when you do 2 games in 24 hours, huh? Face-off coming up at the right of the Philadelphia goal. Kenya Rimchuk, the young Chicago rookie center. Into the corner, and Froese shoots it around on the boards. Ilkka Sinisalo, number 23. Out of Finland, comes to center. Sinisalo tried to poke it in, knocked down at the Chicago line by Ben Wilson, who plays against his old Philadelphia teammates for the first time. Puck shot in by the Hawks. Flyers try and move it quickly out. Sinisalo with a rink-wide pass over to Erickson, but circling back, Philadelphia get it again. And it is Hackborn who shot it to center ice. Intercepting and trying to work it back in is Tim Higgins for the Hawks. Did get it in, but Cochran has it for Philadelphia. Number 29, big, strong defenseman Glenn Cochran on right wing to Hackborn. Tried to center it. Now it comes to the point. Held in by Philadelphia, and it is taken away by the Blackhawks. Dave Feemster shooting it on right wing to Higgins, who got it to center ice. Flyers take over there. Thomas Erickson, number 6, bounces a shot into the Chicago zone, and here's Ben Wilson. Up the middle for Darryl Sutter. Sutter over on left wing to Ludzik. Ludzik, number 29, centered, but Dvorak was there for Philadelphia, and he feeds Mark Howe. Howe moving in with a shot wide. Bounced out in front. Bannerman grabbed it and held onto it, and will get a stoppage in play. For our local systems, we'll follow now. The National Hockey League is coming your way on USA.
Entertainment for the upcoming winter nights can be found in one place. Soundmart. Portable stereos, remote-controlled TVs, stereo systems with dedication to high quality, video recorders, and that unbelievable Soundmart Video Club, with selected movies for as low as 99 cents a day. And a satellite dish for only $59.92 per month and no money down. At Soundmart, you'll find holiday shopping music to your ears.
Number 29, Steve Ludzik, ready for a face-off against the great Flyer veteran Bobby Clark. Chicago won last night and jumped into second place ahead of Toronto in the Norris Division, but they're still 7 points back of first place Minnesota. Here's Barber with a shot. Stop that to defense by Bob Murray. Now Murray clearing the puck. Knocked down at the point by Dvorak. Shot it into the corner, and Barber, number 7, gives it to Clark. Clark trying to center to Howe. Howe, who is normally a defenseman, moved up to right wing tonight as the Flyers look for more scoring punch on the right side. Darryl Sutter to Steve Larmer. Larmer, number 28, the Calder Trophy winner a year ago, as the Rookie of the Year. Fires it in. Ludzik digs in after it. Taken out of the play. Barber now trying to clear it. Here's Ludzik giving it to Larmer. Larmer, a drop pass back, but it comes all the way into the Hawk zone, and Vanderman almost to the blue line to clear it away. Marsh gives it to Dave Poulin, number 20. Here's Poulin. Rookie for Philadelphia, moving in, centers it. Tipped away as Prop now controls for Philadelphia. He's checked, and O'Callahan shot it to center. Poulin knocks it down there. Now O'Callahan flipped it in again, and the Flyers' Doug Crossman takes over, but they get a stoppage in play and a penalty against Brian Prop of Philadelphia. A high sticking call against Prop. No score in this game. We're at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, the Flyers and the Blackhawks. Prop of Philadelphia in the penalty box, high sticking the call. 4:40 of the first period, the time. And Chicago with a power play chance. The Hawks working in front. A shot. Rose stops that from close in. Now Philadelphia can't get it out. Puck jammed up on the boards. Preston is there. The earlier scoring chance, a good one for Savard. Here is Bob Murray to Wilson at the point. Over to Sear, number 11. He centered it, but there to intercept and clear it away was Doug Crossman for Philadelphia. Wilson for the Hawks to Murray, number 6. Headmanning it, picked up now by Savard. Back to Murray, couldn't hold it in at the point, and the Hawks have to come back out to center ice.
Chicago 23.4% on the power play. That's almost 1 out of every 4 times.
26 goals on the power play overall. Here's a shot from the point. Loose near the Flyer goal. Hawks Sear now gets it into the corner. Crossman back for Philadelphia. Got it onto the board. Sear intercepting that. Back of the net to Savard. Dennis Savard, number 18, to Murray. Chicago on the power play. Murray to Wilson. Bob Murray to Dennis Savard, number 18. Back to Murray. Shoots one, and a stick save by Froze. Wilson cleared it behind the net. Froze leaves it there for Crossman. He shot it, but not out. Hawks hold it in. Savard behind the goal. Dennis Savard centered. Bobby Clark was there. Flips to center, and Sinisalo has the breakaway. Sinisalo scores! Seventh shorthanded goal of the year for Philadelphia. Gary Green, you cannot beat that one thing in hockey, speed, and Sinisalo showed it right there.
Well, does he ever have speed, Dan? And, you know, a smart move by Clark way back in the Flyers zone. Clark very effective around the net area. He's got good eyesight of that puck. He was able to feed that puck right up to the middle ice area to Sinisalo. And Sinisalo was home free.
Ilka Sinisalo, his 10th goal of the year. A short-handed effort, and Philadelphia has the lead. Now Keith Brown, number 4 for the Hawks. Passing it over onto the left side. Ben Wilson dumps it in. Flyers try and clear it. Sutter is checked by Keith Brown. Hawks hold it in. Now the penalized player back on. There's a high one from the point off the glass, and it bounces all the way down into the Hawk zone. Murray Bannerman out of the net to clear it, and Ben Wilson flips it to center ice for Chicago. Cochran for the Flyers. Cleared it just as the gate to the Flyer bench opened, and it flips out of the playing surface through the gate to the Flyer bench. The scoring play, Sinisalo, his 10th of the year from Clark. 6:21 of the first period of the time, a shorthanded goal.
Well, that really hurt Chicago somewhat, especially on the power play, but we're talking about a team that has had a very difficult season on the road.
Only one win on the road so far for the Chicago club. That came at Madison Square Garden in New York. But they're in Philadelphia tonight and behind 1-0. Here's the newcomer, Randy Boyd, for Chicago. Drills it into the Philadelphia zone. The Flyers clear it on right wing. Now going back to get it again is the Chicago or the Philadelphia defenseman Erickson, number 6. On right wing to Rich Sutter, who shoots it in. Darryl Sittler beaten to the puck back there by Patterson. He's checked. Now Sutter centering one. It comes to the other Sutter, back to Cochran at the point. That shot wide, and Marsh gets it for Philadelphia, but we'll get an interference penalty against the Blackhawks in front of the net, I believe, against Jack O'Callahan. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The NHL is coming your way on USA.
How are your tanning beds?
Callahan of Chicago in the penalty box. Interference at 7:35, and Philadelphia on the power play. I can't believe those power play statistics of the Flyers. Only an 18.4%.
They've had a difficult time so far this year, Dan, both with their power play and penalty killing percentages. Much improvement needed.
17th best power play in the league for Philadelphia. Now the Flyers, Clark centered. Howe shot it wide. Clark shoots. Bannerman sprawled across to stop Clark from a bad angle. And back comes Bill Gardner, number 14. And he just dumps it in. Crossman for Philadelphia back to pick it up. Clearing it on right wing to Sittler. Ahead to Clark. Now into Howe. That shot goes off Doug Wilson over the glass and into the crowd. Mark Howe, normally a defenseman, up on the right side on a regular basis tonight. Bob McCammon said, well, his father wasn't a bad right winger.
Not at all. Let's take a look at that opportunity right in front of the net between Clark and Howe. Watch Clark here. I thought that puck was going in. I think Murray Bannerman thought it was going in as well. You know, sometimes you need a little bit of luck, too, if your power play isn't going so well for you. The luck this time belonged all to the Blackhawks and Murray Bannerman.
Here's Keith Brown for the Hawks trying to clear it out. Picked up, and Ludzik, number 29, speeds to center. Ludzik, a low shot. Froze makes the save. Preston drops it back, but Philadelphia's Sittler gives it to Barber, number 7. Ahead to Clark. He just dumped it in. Bannerman out of the net to clear it on the boards, and Preston shoots it all the way down the ice. A minute left in the penalty. This is Clark. Cleared one, and Marsh intercept for Chicago. Now Philadelphia getting it again as McCrimmon, number 10, dumps it into the corner. Propp goes in after it. Bannerman caught out of there, and Propp hit the side of the open net. Now Propp back to McCrimmon. Brad McCrimmon in on left wing to Dvorak. Behind the net to Poulin. Dave Poulin to Propp. Back to McCrimmon. McCrimmon shoots right on. Bannerman the save. And then Ben Wilson took a run at Poulin after the play. Now Propp on the other side, getting into it with Keith Brown of Chicago.
Well, that's almost a no-no situation. Taking a little extra swipe at the goaltender. That's something in this game that has oftentimes caused some pushing and shoving, and sometimes a little bit more than that even.
There you see the linesman, well, he's just skated out of your picture, Ron Asseltine. Tell you about that later.
Well, take a look now in front of that net area. Watch closely in front. You see Brown going out to take out the man, but this is where Chicago objected. That second effort, as coaches may call it, but he was looking for the loose puck. But Bannerman had a good hold on it. Ben Wilson didn't take kindly to it.
From the face-off, Ben Wilson clears it down the ice. 15 seconds left in O'Callahan's interference penalty. Miroslav Dvorak, number 9 for the Flyers. Lead pass to Prop. He dumps it in. That was Poulin racing in after it. Preston beats him to it, clears, and O'Callahan just out of the penalty box, couldn't get it. Dvorak for Philadelphia. To Tim Kerr, number 12. Kerr having a good year for the Flyers. Moves in, quick wrist shot. Bannerman handled that, and it is taken by Larmer, number 28. Steve Larmer leading a 4-man Chicago rush right through the defense. Shoots, and he shot it wide. Good move by Larmer as those defensemen split up, trying to protect the outside men, and Larmer went right through the middle. Here's Wilson shooting it in. Larmer gets it, but the whole play is offside at the Flyer blue line. The National Hockey League is coming to you coast to coast on USA. We'll be right back. Face-off as Len Hackborn, a newcomer to the Flyers in recent games, won the draw in Philadelphia. Clear it to center ice. Sinisalo had it. He was checked. And Preston for the Hawks passes it ahead to Sear, knocked away. Now Bob Murray for Chicago. Moves in, shoots, throws. Stick save on that shot. And then Philadelphia clear it down the ice. Wilson, number 24, back for the Hawks. He moves it to Murray. Murray with a lead pass to Savard, hopped over his stick, throws out of the net to clear it away. Now Rich Preston and Cochran battle for it. Here's Savard to the side of the net to Dennis Sear. Centered it, but Philadelphia intercept. Hackborn, number 11, comes back. Hackborn over to Sinisalo, shoots off the goal post. Sinisalo hits the left post. And now Erickson scoops it up over the glass and into the crowd.
Well, we could hear that post clanging from all the way up here in the broadcast area, and you can see exactly why. Sinisalo really had a lot behind that shot. They say when goaltenders are playing well, the goalposts are part of it, part of their luck. Bannerman has been fortunate tonight on 2 goalposts.
Here are the Hawks clearing it to center ice. The veteran Darryl Sittler shoots it back in for Philadelphia. And Wilson, number 23, clears it on left wing. Knocked away by Crossman for Philadelphia. Crossman to Marsh, number 8. Brad Marsh shot it to center ice. Here's Sittler, who's out with the Sutter twins, Rich and Ron. And one of the Sutter twins, Ron, dropped it back to his own line. Here's Marsh, ahead to number 14, Ron Sutter. Into Sittler, shoots, he scores! Sittler just caught the inside of the far post, and Philadelphia has a 2-0 lead.
Well, but I'm not so sure that Bannerman has been all that sharp on his angles so far tonight, Dan, and we take a look right now. Sittler picking that corner beautifully right from the top of the circle. We had just previously said that Bannerman has been lucky so far tonight on a couple of goal posts. Shots that could have well gone in, but this time, well, it went in for the Flyers. Sittler coming up with a goal.
And on the play, the Hawks are also going to get a penalty. Darryl Sutter gets a penalty of something for Chicago, perhaps unsportsmanlike conduct. They were ready to face the puck off at center ice, and Darryl Sutter was playing against his 2 teenage twin brothers, Rich and Ron. Gets a penalty. Unsportsmanlike conduct, as we guessed. So he had something charming to say to the official.
Well, Darryl Sutter said after last night's game that he was looking very forward to this game tonight, the first opportunity he has had to play against the Twins this year.
At last scoring play, Sittler from Ron Sutter and Marsh at 11:44 to give Philadelphia 2-0 lead, and now the Flyers on a power play because of the unsportsmanlike call against Daryl Sutter. Barber flipping it in, and the play goes offside at the Chicago line. 3 Sutter brothers involved in this game, and of course, as we have noted previously, 6 Sutter brothers in the NHL. One of the great stories I've ever heard in sports.
It's something that almost comes up each and every game because we almost have a Sutter involved in, it seems, the majority of our hockey games.
The older Sutter brother, Brian, when St. Louis played Philadelphia, was injured, and those 2 twin brothers were really upset about it, not being able to play against the big brother, Brian. I think Brian was a little disappointed, too.
The former Toronto Maple Leaf, number 27, Daryl Sittler for the Flyers, has the opportunity to play with Ron Sutter and Rich Sutter. We remember the last time we were here in this building, Dan, that Daryl Sittler said if he was going to play with these 2 guys all year long, he was going to start to take karate lessons.
Now, what do they call them here in Philadelphia? Slash and spear.
I think it's very appropriate, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, I'd take them.
Any day of the week.
Here's Barber on the Flyer power play. Mark Howe got in ahead of it. Barber had to wait. Now feeds Sittler. Sittler to Howe. Deflected it just wide, did Mark Howe. Now Doug Crossman, number 3, over to Barber. Into Howe. Howe centered it, it deflected and went wide of the Hawk goal. Here's Sittler. Back to Barber. Shoots. Vanderman just got a piece of that. Sittler on this Flyer power play to Bobby Clark. Clark to Barber. That shot is blocked. Now it comes to Doug Crossman. Crossman pinned in against the boards. Howe gets it free into the corner to Clark. Back to Barber. To the side of the net to Sittler, to Clark, deflected. Vanderman able to smother it.
Dan, I think a lot of the Flyers' power play problem perhaps stems from really not being able to find the perfect point combination. I think in a lot of cases they've been utilizing and trying Howe. Barber's been back there. I think when they acquired Crossman, they are hoping that he may fit that spot as well. Good power play in the National Hockey League usually have a pretty proven 5-man unit.
Now Tim Kerr, a big season for the Flyers with 17 goals so far. Centering a line with Poulin on one wing, Prop on the other, Dvorak and Marsh. Or it's McCrimmon, the other point man. Here's Dvorak. Over to Poulin. His shot deflects wide. Prop behind the net. Flyers still on the power play. 30 seconds left in Daryl Sutter's penalty. Behind the goal, Poulin to Prop. Now to McCrimmon. A drive blocked at the defense. Flyers center it out. Kerr with a chance. His shot blocked. And now Patterson for Chicago shoots it down into the Philadelphia zone. 8 seconds left in Daryl Sutter's penalty. Here's Brian Prop. Tried to pass to Dvorak, went off a skate, and Poulin tried to shoot it in. Now Daryl Sutter, as you see, out of the penalty box. Dvorak, number 9. Check from behind, and Patterson takes over for Chicago. The Hawks have fallen behind here, 2-0. This is Bill Gardner clearing it over to Ben Wilson. Wilson has to wait for his team to get onside. Now gives it to Daryl Sutter, who tried to shoot it in, and as he did, the play is called on an offside. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The NHL is coming your way on USA.
I'm Smokey Bear.
Philadelphia 2, Chicago 1. The Blackhawks with a dismal road record of 1-11-2, and they've fallen behind here early. This is O'Callahan for Chicago. Into the Flyer zone for number 5, Jack O'Callahan. Ridden out of the play, back of the net. Now Steve Larmer trying to dig it free. Puck on the boards. Cochran pinning the Chicago player there. I mentioned, Gary, the Chicago road record. I wonder if the likes of Secord and a Tom Lysiak and a Kurt Fraser were in the lineup, if that road record would be at all different.
I don't think there's any question about the fact that those 3 players specifically mean an awful lot to this Chicago Blackhawk team. We see Randy Holt, the back of Randy Holt. Anyway, he is not in the lineup tonight. He appears to be acting somewhat as a communicator from the press box area, where Ted Sather, the assistant coach, is on the walkie-talkie system.
Face-off coming to Boyd at the left point. Shot it behind the net. Crossman trying to clear it. Now Ron Sutter into the corner, but the Hawks get it loose. Larmer centered one. Here is Boyd. Behind the net to Larmer. Got it in front, and coming back is Crossman. Headmanning it to Sittler. Sittler on right wing, can't get around Boyd, and then O'Callahan cleared it away. Here's the pass to Ludzik at center. Steve Ludzik trying to go around Crossman. Backhander, Froze the save, and Bobby Froze then held on to the puck.
Then you're talking about the injuries for the Chicago Blackhawks. They've really been wiped out down the middle ice area, considering now that Lysiak's penalty, his suspension, is enforced. And we see the save there by Froze off of Ludzik's shot. Ludzik going to his backhand.
Yeah, in case anybody missed it, the NHL Board of Governors today made the confirmation of that 20-game suspension to Lysiak for the incident with the referee or the linesman earlier this season, and Lysiak won't be available until January 14th to play for Chicago. Here's Bobby Clark for Philadelphia. Clearing it to Barber. That's broken up, and back comes Doug Wilson. Got it to center ice, and it's Savard for the Hawks. Trying to go around McCrimmon, couldn't, and Clark comes right back for Philadelphia. Bobby Clark over on left wing, lets the shot go. It's deflected wide. Barber in to get it. To Clark behind the net. Clark back to McCrimmon at the point. Shoots one right on, and a glove save by Bannerman, who cleared it to Savard. Savard tied up, and will get a penalty here to McCrimmon of Philadelphia as he made Dennis Savard sit down on the play. You're watching the NHL on USA. Austin Bruin, Brad McCrimmon in the penalty box, a hooking call. 15:45 here of the first period.
I think that was one of the more obvious calls I have seen all year long. He really held and hooked Savard for a great length of time.
So Chicago behind in the game, 2-0. Work it in to Keith Brown. Now to Rich Preston. Into the corner to Sear. Sear knocked off the puck by Crossman. Flyers try and clear it. Brown had pinched in from the point. Now Preston holding it in, but the Flyers break up. And here is Kropp with Poulin. And breaking it up was Ben Wilson. Now it comes right back to Poulin. And he got away a weak shot that Vanderman had to make the save on.
The Flyers have had as many opportunities tonight while they were short-handed as when they were equal. Bannerman takes no chances whatsoever, even though Chicago is on the power play. He scooped that puck up quickly and held on for the face-off deep in the Blackhawks zone.
I mentioned that Tom Lysiak case earlier. The NHL Board of Governors today considered the appeal by Lysiak, and the board's decision was that the suspension be confirmed for 20 games. So Lysiak not in the Hawk lineup tonight and won't be until mid-January. Here's Chicago on the power play as Larmer tried to work it in on right wing. He was checked, and Philadelphia clear it down the ice. Philadelphia shorthanded. 1:08 left in McCrimmon's hooking call. This is Keith Brown, number 4. Into Larmer, and the play is offside at the Flyer blue line.
This game is authorized under television rights granted by the National Hockey League and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Hockey League is strictly prohibited.
Philadelphia's penalty killing 15th in the league, a 74.4 percentage. So those are the figures that Gary mentioned earlier. Hawks back in their own zone, operating right now on a power play. Over to Larmer. He's taken out of the play by Glenn Cochran. Sinisalo comes back for Philadelphia. Checked in the play. Now Sittler. Checked by Savard. Number 18, Dennis Savard. Weaves his way into the Flyer zone. Look at that backward movement by Savard to Doug Wilson with a shot. That went wide. Larmer drops it to Murray. Knocked down. And Sinisalo, who earlier scored a shorthanded goal, cleared it and cleared it over the boards onto the Flyer bench, and then the puck bounced back onto the playing surface, so we get a stoppage in play. There's Bob McCammon pacing in behind the Philadelphia bench. Big challenge for that young man, a general manager and a coach's job, and he's in his first year in the dual capacity.
Well, Bob seems very confident of what he is trying to do with this hockey club, and in talking with the players, they are definitely behind him 100%, and that means an awful lot.
17 seconds left in McCrimmon's penalty. 2:32 left in the opening period. A 2-0 Philadelphia lead. By the way, as Doug Crossman shoots the puck down the ice, Crossman will be Al Trautwig's guest in our upcoming intermission. Former Blackhawk, now with Philadelphia. Here is Boyd for Chicago. At center ice to Yaremchuk. Now picked up by Feimster, over to Higgins, and his shot went off a stick, way up high into the crowd. The Hawks have not had a shot on this power play.
Orville Tessier had said that on the road especially is where he has really noticed the injury factor taking place. He just feels that they're able to key in much more on the players such as Larmer and Savard. He feels he really misses a guy like Secord out there. Power play in front of the net area. You can't take a 50-goal scorer out of your lineup and not feel some consequences.
Another Chicago player not in the lineup, Troy Murray. And Tessier told Gary yesterday he'd been one of his most consistent forwards in this young season. Here's Keith Brown at the right point. That shot blocked loose in the slot area. Feimster couldn't center it. Now Higgins does, but the Flyers' Howe shot it to center. Wilson clearing it right back in for Chicago. This is Crossman. Now to Howe, and Howe shoots it to center. Team's back at full strength, but they rule Chicago could have played it, so there's no icing. Here's Clark into the corner with Keith Brown. Clark works it free. Now Higgins takes over for Chicago, dropping it back to Yaremchuk. Yaremchuk checked by Howe to Clark. Clark to Marsh at the point. That shot, Barber just missed tipping it in. And Wilson has it for Chicago. Ben Wilson, booed a little bit by his old hometown supporters, fired it high. And a jam up on the boards. The puck is held there, and the faceoff will be in the Philadelphia zone. Well, just to make Ben Wilson feel at home, they booed him here at the Spectrum.
Well, he's no longer a Flyer, and so as all players know coming into this building, the opposition is not well liked whatsoever. You know, one thing I noticed tonight...
Well, they used to boo him here anyway when he played with the Flyers.
The last couple of years especially. One thing I noticed tonight, Dan, with the point on the power or on the Chicago Blackhawks blue line there, last night I was praising them because they were shooting so well. They look a little tense out there tonight, and I'm sure that has something to do with their road record.
Now the Flyers attack. Sinisalo at the side of the net, centered it, cleared away by Marsh. We're in the final minute of period one. It's 2-0 Philadelphia. McCrimmon for the Flyers into the corner. Tries to center one, did a poke at it, and it's shot wide by Holmgren. Now Patterson for Philadelphia, or for Chicago, I should say. Rick Patterson played it off the boards to center ice. Flyers McCrimmon shoots it right back in. Going back is Bob Murray. Murray working it up the middle to Bill Gardner, number 14. Over now to Marsh. Long shot from well out, wide of the target. Jam up on the boards to the left of the Flyer goal. Taken by Marsh. Shot right on, and Prose made the save and then held on to it. Bobby Prose having a difficult shot to handle there.
Prose has looked very sharp tonight in this game so far. He came to play, obviously. He was tested very early in the game with some good slot shots. And then again in this particular one. But he's standing right up, playing the angles well, and hasn't allowed a goal so far.
Interesting thing about Froese, he was drafted in the 10th round of the '78 draft by St. Louis. Never signed, and then signed on as a free agent with Philadelphia in June of 1981. Here's Larmer behind the net trying to center it. And it is taken by Ron Sutter. The Sutter twins and Sittler, the forward line, as Philadelphia dump it in. And there's the buzzer to end the first period here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Shots on goal in the opening period favored the Flyers by a margin of 12-9. And two of those shots, one by Ilka Sinisalo, the other by Darryl Sittler, got into the goal. Coming up, you'll meet former Chicago defenseman and now a Flyer, Doug Crossman. He'll guest with Al Trautwig in our USA studio. After one period of play here in Philadelphia, the score, the Flyers 2, Chicago nothing.
Spoken tonight frequently about Ben Wilson playing in a Chicago Blackhawks uniform, and of course that means Doug Crossman is in a Philadelphia Flyers uniform. He's with me now in our USA studio. Doug, has all your Blackhawk blood been transfused to Flyer blood now?
Yes, I think you could say that. It doesn't take too long, you know.
What happened when you came here? He said you played about 7 games well, then your level of play dropped off a little bit. Now you seem to be getting back into the system. Do you agree with that?
Well, yeah, I guess so. You know, it takes a little while to get used to the players and how they play. And I was playing the left side, and it's a new system. And I'm happy with the way I've played up until now. And things are going well. We're working for first place. And out here tonight, I hope we can get the 2 points.
To your credit, the Philadelphia Flyers season kind of started out that way. A bunch of games in the beginning of the year went very well, then tailed off a little bit. Now things seem to be coming back together.
Yeah, that's hockey, you know. It's tough to tell when you're going to go and when you're not, and you got to take advantage of the times when you are going. It's a strong league now, and there's 20 other teams that are, you know, that much better than last year, and it's tough to get the 2 points, and you have to work hard for 60 minutes.
Now, when leaving Chicago, you left behind a man who is still making headlines there, Orville Tessier, the coach of that team. He seems to always be involved in a little bit of something. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not true. For you, in one instance, it wasn't true. Tell me what happened.
Well, they said I didn't like Orville too much in the Globe Mill in Toronto, and my dad and my friends in London told me about it, and I said, geez, I wasn't even in Toronto to say that, and I wouldn't have said that anyway. I think Orville's a tremendous coach, and he deserved all the treatment he got last year with a 104-point season, and I have nothing but praise for him, and I hope that doesn't happen again, because it doesn't, that's something I wouldn't say, and I'm happy it got squared away.
Your former team looks very tense tonight. They look like a team who's won only 1 of 14 games on the road. Do you agree, and do you have any ideas what may be happening to them as soon as they leave Chicago Stadium?
Well, geez, I better wait till the 40 minutes are gone after these next 2 periods before I say something. They look a little tired out there tonight, but that's just the first period, and I don't know what their problems are, but we have 40 tough minutes ahead of us, and anything can happen, so I better wait and see until after the game, then I'll answer that out.
You know, as these young teenagers come into the league, I'm speaking of Tom Barrasso and Brian Lawton, there's that argument that a player needs a year or so in the minor leagues to really get his head together, his game together. And you spent 70 games, I think, in New Brunswick. Are you a proponent of a year in minor league hockey before jumping to the NHL?
Well, I guess you could say that, yeah. But, you know, it depends on the certain situation, you know, and the team and who you're dealing with and who you have to fight over position with, you know. And in my case, Chicago, you know, they wanted all the young players to spend time in the minors because they didn't want to bring them along too quickly. They knew that we'd be there eventually, and as they are now, that's a good question, because I think a lot of the guys, some guys don't need it, like Gretzky didn't need it, and you know, it serves him well in Edmonton. But I think that's a decision left up to the management.
And a quick question here about the situation in Chicago and Philadelphia. Again, you had mentioned that in Chicago a lot of the awards were individual in orientation, and here in Philadelphia it's more of a team game.
Yeah, it is. They're more disciplined here in Philadelphia. Everything's team-oriented, and you win and lose as a team, and all the bonuses are team. And I think that has a lot to do with Bobby Clark. You know, he's a captain, and he's, you know, it rubs off on everybody else. Whereas in Chicago, like you said, they're more, all the bonuses are individual, and they like to see the flashy plays, and it's tough to say which style is better. I mean, we'll have to wait to see which style wins the Stanley Cup before we can say anything.
Doug, thanks very much, and good luck in the next 40 minutes.
Thanks a lot, Al.
Doug Crossman of the Philadelphia Flyers, our guest here in our USA studio. And for being our guest, we'd like to present him with the exciting new Kodak disc camera that's so easy to use, you never miss a picture. Coming up on USA, Gary Green will go back and show us how the Lone Ranger and Batman have played a little bit of a role in NHL play. But first, a bit of Flyers history. The most penalty minutes in one season, 472, an NHL record for Dave the Hammer Schultz. And a lot of people think that those days are over for the Philadelphia Flyers. Gary Green will be back to take a look at what's been covering the faces of some goaltenders in the last years in the NHL. It's the Flyers 2-0 over Chicago.
Montreal goalie Jacques Plante was injured early in the first period of a game at Madison Square Garden. Plante came out for the second period wearing a strange-looking mask. Toe Blake, his coach, was opposed to the mask but allowed him to wear it until the injury was healed. The Canadians went unbeaten in 18 straight games. Plante never took the mask off, and the era of the mask for goaltenders had arrived. Well, it's obvious when masks came into being, goalies took a little bit more pride in the care and design of them. Take, for example, Mike Palmateer's mask, 1974 when he played with the Toronto Maple Leafs. What a transition to when he played for the Washington Capitals, the mask I knew so well in 1980. On the stranger side of the mask, take a look at Gilles Gratton's lion mask, almost out of the Star Wars age, but yet in 1976. Al Smith's mask. Al was known as the traveling goaltender. His mask shows that. He was playing for the Pittsburgh Penguins. On his mask also was the Detroit Red Wing logo, as well as the Hartford Whalers logo. Why do masks look the way they do?
Yeah, I had two different fiberglass masks. One was the red, white, and blue striped, vertically striped mask. It was a comfortable mask. It was just basically colored the Ranger colors. Everybody else seemed to be doing it, so I sort of stepped in line, and it was quite comfortable. Then I went to the Lone Ranger mask, which was something a little different. The colors were the same, the Ranger colors again, but it was something just to add a little identity to the particular goaltender who was wearing it. Happened to be myself. But things didn't go that well with that mask. I didn't stop too many pucks with it, so I went back again to the other striped mask and had a little more success with it. It was kind of fun to look around the league and see the different masks, the different styles, and a lot of them suited the personalities. I just basically like to keep the Ranger colors right out where they're supposed to be, right out in front.
When I was traded from Toronto, I had a mask designed by Mr. Harrison from Toronto, and Greg Harrison from Toronto, and it was something that I had a lot of input into, Maple Leaf mask, and we went over different designs, and there was a lot of time spent in designing a mask, but in being traded at the start of the year, it happened to be a rush job, and what turned out with the Ranger colors and the Ranger crests on it, it just had to happen in a day or two, and we didn't have a whole lot of ideas to deal with, so we've basically covered up a lot of the Toronto Maple Leaf stuff and added a little bit of red and threw on some Ranger crests wherever we thought they would fit.
The most popular form of face protection today is the birdcage. Goalies who use it feel they see the whole ice surface better, especially right in front of them, which has always been a problem with the conventional form-fitting masks. Additionally, it provides superior protection.
Well, it started out in junior. I wore the face mask, and this mask I find it protects me a lot more from the shock. You know, I might get cut the odd time on the helmet part, but when I was wearing the face mask itself, it would tear my face apart, and I found that even with this mask, I could breathe a lot more.
I like the cage in front because anything you get into the face, it's not a direct blow, but I can't get used to the helmet, so with the combination aft mask, aft cage, that's what I'm most comfortable with.
Okay, the reason I selected this mask over the other ones is basically two factors. One, protection. When the impact of the puck hits any part of the cage, the shock is distributed throughout the helmet, okay? Number two is performance. When in this particular mask, you have much more peripheral vision as compared to other masks. You can see both down and off to the sides because of the openings, okay? And that's compared to the older mask, which was used maybe 15 years to present time, is when the impact of the puck hits, it hurts a lot more. And secondly, your peripheral vision is blocked off by the side factors here and the mouthpiece downward.
Oddly, though, way back in 1927, Clint Benedict of the Montreal Maroons used a specially designed nose protector, but discarded it after just one game. Interestingly enough, 4 years earlier, a University of Toronto student designed a similar face guard for his own use. Okay, everyone has been talking about their masks. Terry Sawchuk here, he had one of the first masks in the National Hockey League, but for years I've been wearing this one. It is made of latex, flesh-toned, and I had it designed many years ago before coming into the National Hockey League. But right now, for the first time ever on camera, one time showing only, I'm about to unveil the real Gary Green.
The game of hockey seems to combine all the best elements of ice skating, polo, and World War II. However, we have found a method for reducing the fighting and speeding up the game. We play over 10 feet of water on melting ice. It keeps the players quite lively. There are dangers, of course. Occasionally, a bobbing head is mistaken for the puck. This is most unfortunate because goals scored in this way are not counted.
Well, there you have it. He trails Alex Del Vecchio for 4th place on the all-time assist list now. That's the kind of company that the great Bobby Clark has moved into. Here we go at the second period in Philadelphia. 2-0, Flyers leading in Chicago. Immediately shoot the puck down the ice. Digging in is Daryl Sutter. To Larmer, who shoots it around on the boards. Steve Ludzik gets it behind the net. Larmer now for Chicago. Over to Wilson. His shot stopped on the short side by Froese. Here's Daryl Sutter. Tried to drop it back, and Mark Howe cleared it to center. Keith Brown swings away from Bill Barber. Gives it to Larmer. Barber back-checking, breaks that up. Now Larmer again. Into the Philadelphia zone, and Howe has it for Philadelphia. Mark Howe just back in the Flyer lineup after being out with a groin injury. Gets it to the Chicago line. Hawks clear it, and back comes Ludzik. Ludzik is turned around and knocked down by Cochran, and Glenn Cochran will get a holding penalty right here. From Maine to Hawaii, you're watching the NHL on the USA Network. Glenn Cochran gets a penalty on that last play for hooking, 1:02 the time. Hawks 0 for 2 on the power play tonight, and they've had a shorthanded goal scored against them. Here's Murray moving in. And then the puck is cleared to center ice. Chicago with the man advantage, trailing 2-0. Pass to Dennis Sear, number 11. Couldn't get it by Marsh, and Savard drops it back to Murray to Wilson. Over on right wing to number 11, Sear. Got it in front of the net. Froese grabbed it and then took a swipe with his goal stick at Savard. And now Savard and Brian Propp get into it. Dennis Savard and Brian Propp. Savard is recovering from a broken nose. This isn't the best way to recuperate, is it?
No, it definitely isn't. You don't see Savard get himself involved in too many of these. He's also got a bad back. He's not in the best of shape.
They're hammering away at each other. Well, we'll have Al Strotwig ask Dennis Savard about that in the next intermission. He'll be Al's guest. Tell you what, he comes to play, though, doesn't he?
Boy, does he ever. I was talking to him in Chicago Airport this morning, and you could tell that young Dennis Savard was hurting somewhat, but he was still, nevertheless, ready to play. Let's see how it started. Very similar to a little incident that started in the first period, whereby the goaltender had possession of the puck. But this time, however, Savard really didn't poke at that puck. Propp just came in. Far from the subject here, but take a look at Propp's underwear, Dan, because that's a new design of underwear that players in the National Hockey League are experimenting with. It allows the skin to breathe somewhat more and actually is much healthier. That's the best shot of it that I have seen, almost a mesh style of underwear. I'm tired of talking about fighting anyway.
An underwear expert, too, is Gary Green. Yeah, Jim Palmer, move over. You don't reply to those.
No, Dan, I just consider the source. And
oh. He's really fighting back now. Major penalties, meanwhile, against Prop and Savard. Coincidental majors, teams not shorthanded. Here's Doug Wilson, flipping it in. Dvorak, number 9 for Philadelphia. Tried to clear it. Doug Wilson held it in. Wilson moving in. Moves into a bad angle. Centered it. Shot by Ludzik right on and froze. Makes the save, and then Philadelphia cleared down the ice. Cochran still serving a minor penalty, remember, so Chicago on the power play. Here's Larmer to Ludzik. Sinisalo tying him up. Miroslav Dvorak tries to clear. Murray held it in to Wilson. Wilson shoots. Shot it wide. Bounced out in front. And Sittler gets it for Philadelphia. Feeds Sinisalo. Sinisalo scored a shorthanded goal earlier. This one handled by Bannerman. Bannerman feeds it up to Ludzik. In across to Larmer. Larmer to Doug Wilson. He scores! Larmer with a perfect feed to Wilson, and Chicago strikes on the power play.
Steve Larmer showing some of his great skills in the game of passing. Watch this. Larmer, remember, a left-handed shot, playing the right wing, feeds a beautiful pass right across the goal mouth to Doug Wilson. Watch again. Watch Larmer. Seems to have some eyes in the back of his head at times as well. Beautiful pass right across to Wilson. Wilson wasted no time at putting that in behind Froze.
Great play by Larmer. Doug Wilson, 7th of the year. Larmer and Ludzik both get assists. 2:26 of the second period, the time, a power play goal. That cuts the Flyer lead to 2-1 as Clark now works it over to Marsh on left wing. A long shot off Bannerman's glove, but fortunately it went to the corner for Bannerman and the Hawks. Philadelphia's Crossman couldn't hold it in. Now did get it in, but Gardner takes over for Chicago. Shot at the center, Barber clearing it. Patterson intercepts that, and Ben Wilson works it to Marsh, number 17, Peter Marsh. Got it to center, now Gardner. Maneuvers down left wing to Marsh. Couldn't get around Marsh, and Crossman gets the loose puck. Crossman over on right wing for Marsh. Marsh, a bouncer that Bannerman handled, and Keith Brown lugs the puck out for Chicago. Brown dumps it in. Froze clears it onto the boards, right onto Sittler's stick. Sittler with the Sutter twins over to Rich. Rich Sutter's shot bounces wide. Bounced out in front, and Ron Sutter almost was able to deflect it by Bannerman. Bannerman able to get his glove on it, though, and stops play.
That puck coming off the backboards with a great bounce. Watch this. Rich Sutter firing that puck into the corner, but look at the way that puck came out. That's a real advantage to a home team, especially if they know those spots, and it almost appeared like Rich Sutter had perhaps practiced and found those unusual bouncing spots in the boards, something that teams usually do in their own building.
By the way, the Sutter twins have turned 20 back on December the 2nd. Started the year as 19-year-old rookies. They're now 20, and they're out on the line right now with Darryl Sittler. Chicago able to clear the puck to center ice. Cochran back to get it to Sittler. Now to Cochran. Shot near the Hawk line, and Murray takes over. To Doug Wilson. Now to Feemster, who's up playing on left wing on this ship. Chicago hampered by injuries to forwards, and Feemster is out as a forward. He's normally a defenseman. Here's Tim Higgins, number 15 for Chicago. Spun around, knocked down. Feemster drops it to Doug Wilson. Over to Bob Murray. Murray shoots the puck into the Philadelphia zone. Going back and controlling it and clearing it on the boards was Erickson, and here is Ron Sutter with Sittler on a 2-on-1. A shot off the post, and then another shot, and that was stopped by the defenseman as it got in behind Bannerman. That would have been a goal, but it was stopped by O'Callahan, and O'Callahan now crosses center and dumps it in. Erickson back for Philadelphia. Head manning it into the center ice area. Now Holmgren picks it up. Back to Eriksson. Eriksson out of Sweden, flipping it in. And O'Callahan tried to clear it. McCrimmon shoots one right on, and a glove save by Murray Bannerman, and then he held on to it.
Good scoring opportunity there by Ron Sutter, but Jack O'Callahan really saved the day for the Blackhawks. Watch as Ron Sutter comes in there. He sees where he wants to put that puck and then gets a second opportunity. But you see O'Callahan right there, the man on the spot, right in the crease area, makes that stick save himself. You know, I think a very wise move by Bob McCammon, putting Daryl Sittler, a very class good two-way hockey player with numerous years of experience, with those two young, enthusiastic youngsters.
Sittler, normally a center, has moved over to left wing. Here's Boyd for Chicago. Acquired only a couple of days ago from Pittsburgh. Back comes Sinisalo. A low shot just off Bannerman's stick. Sinisalo behind the net, centered it. Now, Flyers come up with it. The shot off the stick of Hackborn went wide. Len Hackborn. Now, Sinisalo beaten to the puck by Bannerman, and Chicago start back. Steve Ludzik got it to center. Sinisalo shoots it right back in. Here's Bannerman clearing it over onto the boards, and Daryl Sutter comes back for Chicago. Can't get around Doug Crossman. Flyers come back, led by Crossman. Crossman tries to center one to Sittler. It comes right back to Crossman. Now to Sittler. Back to Kerr. His shot went wide, and Sear then cleared it away. This is Ben Wilson for Chicago, the former Philadelphia Flyer. He moves it to Keith Brown. Brown stick handling in, fires it to the corner. Crossman back for Philadelphia. Sear ties him up. Rich Preston intercepts a pass. Over onto the other wing to Yaremchuk, but intercepting it is Kerr. Number 12, Tim Kerr into Sittler. Back to Kerr, but tipped away by Brown. Preston for Chicago. Long shot that Bobby Froese handles and then decided to hold on to. And we'll get a face-off in the Philadelphia zone.
Well, we get a little closer look there at number 11 for the Flyers, Len Hackborn, a new player up with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Exclusive national coverage of the NHL is only on USA.
Sometimes it's reassuring to know your car will perform well. That's why stunt driver Michelle Slate relies on mobile detergent gasoline. After all, a car with a clean carburetor performs better. It's as simple as that. Mobile detergent gasoline for your everyday driving needs.
Philadelphia 2 and Chicago 1, 13:02 left in the second period with Al Troutwig and Gary Green. This is Dan Kelly in Philadelphia. Face-off is taken by the Flyers and Bill Barber. Shot at the center ice. Doug Wilson has it there to Bob Murray. Murray flipping it back in. Back for Philadelphia. Unable to clear it was Thomas Eriksson. But now carrying out on right wing is Howe. Howe moves in, shoots one high off the glass with that shot. And Marsh gets it for Chicago. Marsh with a pass to Murray. Murray knocked down on the play. Flyers get the puck. We'll get a penalty here. A hooking call as Eriksson was hooked down from behind by Murray. And Bob Murray will go to the penalty box. For our local systems, we'll pause right here. The National Hockey League is coming your way on the USA Cable Network.
Get set for the fights as USA brings you the best. Tomorrow night from Madison Square Garden.
When Yakima thinks Subaru, Yakima thinks Les Morin. Now there's something new to think about, Yakima. Four-wheel availability in every Subaru body style, from the elegant, fully equipped four-door hardtop to the rough and tumble Brat. And new for 1984, there's turbo traction, combining the sophistication of turbocharging, four-wheel drive, fuel injection, and the ease of an automatic transmission. A turbo traction Subaru wagon, hardtop, or Brat will take you anywhere in comfort and with the greatest of ease. Turbo traction only from Subaru and Les Morin.
Bob Murray, a hooking penalty on that last play. 7:34 here of the second period, the time in Philadelphia. 0 for 2 on the power play tonight. Have the man advantage now. McCammon, the Flyer coach, has Clark, Sittler, and Howe up front. Crossman and Barber, the point men. Puck comes to Bill Barber. Barber, number 7, in on the right wing side. Dropping it to Sittler. Sittler back to Barber. Shot right on. Bannerman the save, and then Clark took a couple of pokes at it, and Keith Brown comes over and took Clark out of the play. Bobby Clark, of course, a diabetic, and there's been talk in Philadelphia Bob McCammon would like to rest him. And all they're going to do is give him a few days off from practice sessions for the season, and even Clark doesn't like that aspect of it.
I was going to say, Dan, that's easier said than done, because Bobby Clark just doesn't like to take any time off whatsoever. I think Gary Dornhofer from the Toronto area, former teammate of his, asked Clarkie this year as to when he was going to retire. He said, they're going to have to pull me off this ice rink. He said, muzzle me, chain me, do everything to get me from playing this game.
And he's been a great one. On the face-off, Clark gets the draw to Barber, over to Sittler. Into the corner to Clark. Bobby Clark. To the side of the net to Sittler. Bannerman, a stick save there. Now Clark the rebound. Bannerman got a skate on that. Here's Barber. Shoots. Bannerman the save, and he dives out to grab the loose puck. And now Bannerman has some words for Bobby Clark.
Well, I think Bobby Clark has probably been known in his day, too, Dan, to take the odd second or third swipe at a goaltender as he's coming across through that goal crease area. Watch that shot from Barber, and watch in the front of the net area.
Well, whatever had happened prior to that for Bannerman to be upset at Clark. Here's Gentle Ben Wilson, former Flyer, now with the Blackhawks. Boy, he's a tough one.
I thought he played a very steady game in last night's game versus Buffalo that was seen here on the USA Network.
Face-off coming up, 1:26 left in Bob Murray's hooking penalty for Chicago. Here's Crossman to Barber, in on left wing. A shot, Bannerman the save on Howe, and then Bannerman took a poke at Clark again. Keep an eye on those two. Back to Barber at the point. Barber shoots, Bannerman a save, and Ben Wilson has the rebound. Wilson failed to clear it, but then the Flyers themselves knocked it out to center. Here's Wilson shooting it into the Philadelphia zone. Crossman back to pick it up to Clark. Clark ahead to Prop on right wing. Prop backhander, and Bannerman came sliding out and made a good save. Here's Bill Barber. Shoots, stick save by Bannerman. Clark again for Philadelphia. To Barber to Clark. Clark fires wide. Bounced right out in front off those lively backboards that Gary Green talked about earlier. Here's Barber. To Dave Poulin. Stick save by Bannerman. Here's Barber. Philadelphia still on the power play. Into Prop. Great puck possession here by Philadelphia. Back to Barber. Broken up, and Rich Preston has a breakaway. Preston in on goal. Off of the shoulder of Prose. Bounced out in front. Another chance at it for Preston. And now Kerr back as Murray comes out of the penalty box. As the action heats up here in Philadelphia. Here's Murray. Fresh out of the penalty box to O'Callahan. 2-on-1 Hawk break. Centered. They score! No! Oh, Preston robbed by Prose. I have that one in the net, and Bob Prose committed highway robbery on Rich Preston twice in the last 30 seconds. And that, I thought, was a sure goal.
Oh, I don't know how that one was stopped, but obviously by some quick reflexes by Froze. Rich Preston, I think he may just want to forget that whole last shift. We see Barber there trying to make that diagonal pass to Crossman. Preston picked it up all alone on a breakaway, and he missed on that opportunity. That one hit the crossbar and up and over.
Bobby Froze, the Philadelphia goaltender. Bob McCammon says he and Pelle Lindbergh will just alternate in goal from game to game at this point in the season. Here's Ben Wilson's shot right on target. And Froze makes the save. Well, I'm sorry I had this game tied up, but that's how sure I was that Rich Preston was going to put it in, and Bobby Froze just committed highway robbery.
Well, Dan, I won't fault you the least bit because I think everybody in this building thought that goal or that puck was in the net. Froze has really shown some very quick reflexes in tonight's hockey game, and maybe a lot has to do with Bob McCammon's decision to start alternating goaltenders and giving both Lindbergh and Froze the opportunity to see who will be number one.
Yeah, what he's trying to do is leave it up to them and let the cream come to the top, and he'll go from there. Puck is shot down the ice by Philadelphia. The Hawks. Brown back to touch it, and as he does, an icing call against Philadelphia. With the score, Philadelphia 2, Chicago 1. A reminder that the USA Network is bringing you the NHL. Center iceman Ron Sutter for Philadelphia, one of the Sutter twins in this Flyer club. Philadelphia win the draw, and Miroslav Dvorak feeds it to Sittler. Puck comes into the Chicago zone, and going back is Keith Brown. Rounding the boards to Wilson. Now to Sears. Sears couldn't get it out. Ron Sutter for the Flyers dropped it to Sittler. Sears then pokes it out to center. Dvorak on right wing to Rich Sutter, number 15. Into Sittler. Centers one. Knocked away by Savard, and Savard clears it to center. So the major penalties have expired to Savard and to Brian Propp. Now we have a stoppage in play and a face-off in the center ice area.
Well, a happy fan getting a souvenir puck. See that Philadelphia crest, very prominent on that puck. Chicago right now kind of finding themselves in the season so far, Dan, after having won that one road game in New York, now fighting to win their second road game. Orville Tessier said yesterday and again this morning they're still just trying to keep their noses up above the water until they get some of these injuries back. It's a long season yet.
Here's Murray with a lead pass on right wing that goes all the way to the Flyer into the rink. Froze setting it up for Thomas Eriksson. Got it on the boards, and then Ludzik jams up there with Sinisalo. Now the puck comes to the other side. Cochran lost it to Darryl Sutter, centering it to Larmer. Larmer behind the net to Ludzik. Ludzik trying to get it in front, now gets it free to Darryl Sutter. He centered to Wilson, but he couldn't control it. And back comes Hackborn, number 11, with a shot that takes off and goes away up over the glass and into the crowd. Len Hackborn, just up from the American Hockey League, where he was the leading scorer in that league before being called up by Philadelphia.
Len Hackborn, born in Brantford, Ontario, and hockey fans out there will remember also of another very well-known player born in Brantford, Ontario, and that is number 99, Wayne Gretzky, for the Edmonton Oilers. Jack O'Callahan, you see pictured in our screen, came up with maybe one of the best saves of the game so far tonight, next to Froze's, I would guess.
He saved a goal. The puck was behind Bannerman, and O'Callahan got a stick behind him to save what looked like a Philadelphia goal. Here's Crossman for Philadelphia, shot it behind the net. O'Callahan now working it to Tim Higgins. To O'Callahan on left wing to Feemster. Feemster jammed up by Clark. Barber comes in to help out. Clark gets it loose, but Savard is there to intercept. And now Feemster, number 3, into Savard. Dennis Savard dropping it back to Boyd. A shot! Stick save by Froze. Now Higgins with the puck for Chicago. Behind the net to Savard. Dennis Savard getting it in front of the goal, then knocked down, and Crossman takes over for Philadelphia. Number 3, Doug Crossman. Sets up Howe. Off the mark and back to get it is Boyd. Now to Higgins. To Savard. To Higgins, number 15. Couldn't get around Dave Poulin. Poulin. Pass to Prop. Prop bumped off the puck by Brown. Tried to center anyway. Wilson intercepting it. Kerr checks in. Now Higgins right in front of his own goal. Higgins living rather dangerously, but gets the job done as he cleared it to center ice. Dvorak has it there. On right wing to Kerr. Kerr for Philadelphia, taken out of the play. Centered one. Savard intercepting. And Savard then shoots it down the ice. The Hawks wanted a line change. They ruled Philadelphia played it, so there's no icing. Here's Brad McCrimmon, number 10. Pass ahead to Prop that bounced over his stick, and Brown takes over for Chicago. Keith Brown, former number 1 draft choice of the Hawks, to Gardner. Back for Gardner again, who dumps it into the Flyers zone. Dvorak for Philadelphia. Up the middle to Poulin, number 20. Poulin, the rookie. And the play goes offside. Kerr over on the right side, in ahead of the play. For our local systems, we'll pause now. The NHL is coming your way on USA.
Well, Jerry,
23 seconds left in the second period. Still anybody's game. Philadelphia 2, Chicago 1. Ron Sutter gets the puck into the Chicago zone, and Marsh has it for the Blackhawks. He leaves it for Murray. Over to Wilson. Back to Murray. Fired into Gardner, who's got a break in on goal. High off the glass. Gardner with a break up the middle, and he got it upstairs and shot it off the glass. Puck shot in by Philadelphia. Wilson back to get it, and as he does, an icing call against the Flyers. Bill Gardner had a chance to tie this game up.
Well, that's a couple of times tonight we've seen players utilizing that middle ice area. Watch, Murray fed that puck right through the middle of that blue line area to Billy Gardner. Gardner splitting the defense. The defense were a little bit farther apart than had happened in a first period incident, but Gardner going for that top corner. Pros just able to deflect it up and over the net.
Philadelphia 2, Chicago 1, 5:51 left in the second period. Gardner on the faceoff against Ron Sutter. Puck shot in behind the net. Erickson takes over. He's tied up, but coming back to help out in the play is Cochran. He failed to clear it. Now Erickson again got it to center ice. Murray taking over for Chicago. Uses the boards to get it back into the Flyers zone, and Erickson has it for Philadelphia. Erickson to Cochran. Long pass to Rich Sutter off his skate, picked up by Sittler. Back to Rich Sutter, but Doug Wilson will get the puck for Chicago. And as he does, icing again called against Philadelphia.
Well, Dan, I mentioned a couple of times about Orville Tessier complaining somewhat about his offensive lack of offense, I should say, for the Chicago Blackhawks. Defensively, he said they have played very well. A lot has to do with the play of Doug Wilson. But they are right now short 100 goals that are sitting out, in that of Lysiak, Secord, Murray, and Fraser. That's almost 1/3 of their total goal production from last year. So you know how valuable those players are. They're sitting back watching, I'm sure, tonight's hockey game.
Here's O'Callahan for Chicago with a shot. That's deflected wide. Sutter center to Ludzik, backhand. Froze the save on that, and back comes Clark, leading a Flyers 3-on-2. Clark moving it into Howe. Howe moves in, shoots. Bannerman sprawled to stop Mark Howe. Now it is Barber behind the net. Out in front with a shot. Bannerman stopped it, and the Hawks come back as Darryl Sutter, who's lost his helmet, clears it across the line to O'Callahan. He maneuvers in, shoots, throws a glove save on Jack O'Callahan. And Bobby Froze has been very good in that Philadelphia goal crease.
Well, he's come up with some real key saves. Chicago have been testing him from time to time, but watch this move by O'Callahan here. Just beautiful. It really sent Clark flying. Clark misjudged it, Philadelphia also with a good opportunity. Watch as Howe and Clark break open, but watch Howe here, the way that he cuts in. He has tremendous strength. Great agility on those blades.
Still a 2-1 Flyer lead. The Hawks sure have had their chances to tie this game up. Getting ready for a face-off as you look at Dennis Savard. He'll be Al Trotwig's guest in our USA studio at the end of this period, so stay with us for that. McCrimmon for Philadelphia. Cleared it. Brown held it in. Now a chance for Sear. The shot went wide. Preston into the corner, trying to dig it free. McCrimmon trying to pin him against the boards. Here's Savard. His shot blocked. Now Preston gets it in front. Savard shoots. He scores! Dennis Savard has just tied this game up.
Well, that was one of those goals that went clink, clink because it utilized both of the goalposts. Watch Savard. He is so tricky when he's got possession of that puck in that slot area. You saw it bounce off of Froze's right post and then off into the left, but a good move here by Preston, who came from around behind the net, had full control of the puck, and was able to find the most likely guy in that slot area, and that was Dennis Savard.
I'd say that's about the 5th straight scoring chance Chicago's had here in the last several minutes, and they finally get one home. Back comes Yaremchuk for the Hawks in this 2-2 game. Froze out of the net to clear it to Sinisalo. Now Wilson at center knocking it down, and Feimster for Chicago tried to move in. Cochran comes up with it. Up the middle for number 11, Hackborn, now to Paul Holmgren. Holmgren shooting it in. Sinisalo went in. Now Hackborn dropping it back to Eriksson. Shoots. Vanderman kicked out his right leg to stop that. And the Hawks shoot it out of there. Big Cochran going back to get it, and as he touches it, icing called against Chicago. Exclusively on the USA Network, it's the National Hockey League. More right after this. The second period, that's Bill Gardner for Chicago, ready to take a face-off. That last Chicago scoring play, by the way. Savard is 20th of the year from Preston and Sear at 15:44 here in the second period. O'Callahan for Chicago. Got it to center, but intercepting it and shooting it back in was Cochran for Philadelphia. O'Callahan knocked off balance. Now Gardner seals the puck. Gardner clearing it to Marsh, number 17. Marsh danced away from a check, but Holmgren knocks it down at the Flyer line. Here's Eriksson in across the line with Sinisalo. Now to Hackborn. He couldn't get the shot away. And Marsh speeds back for Chicago. Drop pass to Rick Patterson. He centered. Gardner took a whack at it, but Sinisalo blocked the shot. Sinisalo at center ice to Hackborn. He fires it in. Bannerman, the goaltender, had difficulty again as the puck came off the boards in a lively fashion. Here's Keith Brown for Chicago. Crossman ties Brown up. Into the corner to help out is Rich Sutter, and the puck is held there. And we'll have a face-off in the Flyers zone. Let's go to Al Trautwig and an update on other games in the NHL.
Dan, as you know, 3 other games being played. All 3 of them are in the second period. First of all, in Boston, the Bruins, 4 goals in the second period. They lead Montreal 4-0. In the second period, in Hartford, it's Toronto leading the Whalers 6-3. And in Washington, it is the Capitals 3 and Calgary 3.
2-2 here in Philadelphia with 2:22 left in the second period. Steve Ludzik ready to face off with Ron Sutter. Ron Sutter will be tossed out of the face-off. And Darryl Sittler, a centerman by trade originally, will take the draw against Ludzik. Crossman has it for Philadelphia. Rich Sutter now works free on right wing. He's checked. Sittler comes over to get the puck, dropping it to Crossman. Crossman passes to Rich Sutter. Now to Sittler. Ron Sutter in ahead of the play over on the left side. Put the rush offside. 2:02 left in period number 2. The Flyers and the Hawks, a 2-2 tie. Philadelphia in third place in the Patrick division. Chicago second in the Norris division, just a point ahead of third place Toronto. And you heard Al Trudwig tell you about Toronto leading at Hartford, so the Hawks would have to win to stay ahead of Toronto in that Norris division tonight, it would appear. Puck is in behind the Chicago goal. And Keith Brown works it free to Ben Wilson, now to Darryl Sutter, back to Steve Ludzik. Play is offside at the Philadelphia blue line. In our intermission coming up, as well as meeting Dennis Savard, one of the most exciting players in this whole league. You'll be brought up to date with the Wall Street Journal report. And Coach Green will go to his chalkboard and have a diagram or two for us. Gary, as a matter of fact, has already left our booth, heading downstairs to our USA studio. A 2-2 game here in Philadelphia late in the second period. Brown for Chicago. To Crossman. Or at least Ben Wilson, I should say. Wilson clearing it. And it goes off a stick over the boards. And Wilson and Rich Sutter bump along the boards. Darryl Sutter right in the middle of it with his two twin brothers, Rich and Ron. Although more as a peacemaker. Faceoff is going to be outside the Flyer blue line. There you see Wilson, the former Flyer in his first season with Chicago. Now both teams decide to make wholesale changes. Faceoff, when play resumes, will be at the Philadelphia line. The shots on goal in the game so far favor the Flyers 25-21. In this period, Philadelphia with 13 shots, Chicago with 12. But to my way of thinking, the Flyers or the Hawks have had the better scoring chances. Here's Philadelphia with a chance. Preston breaks it up and headmans it to Savard. Savard shoots and throws the save. Sear couldn't get the rebound, and Barber feeds Clark. We're in the final minute of the second period. Clark centered. Howe just failed to tip it at the edge of the crease. Now Dvorak trying to center, gets it to Barber. Savard tied him up, a big jam up in the corner. Clark works the puck free. Center to Howe. Bannerman to his knees to stop Howe. Centered again and off a skate and right through the goal crease. Wilson for Chicago. Now clears it. Miroslav Dvorak, the native of Czechoslovakia, back to get it. Pass to Prop, leaving it for Kerr. Into Prop. Shot off of Brown's stick and over the glass, out of play. 22 seconds remain, and now as play stops, a little development out near the blue line. Ben Wilson and Cochran pushing at each other. Holmgren is in the midst of it for Philadelphia. Wilson yanked his stick away from somebody who was holding it. Ben Wilson, the former Flyer, back in the city of brotherly love. The players from both teams still milling around just inside the Chicago blue line. Well, the fellas don't want to go about the business of playing hockey, it would appear at this point. Bob Myers, the referee, steps into the middle of it and starts to order players around. Wilson and Holmgren nose to nose. They know each other pretty well, no question about that, and they also know very well that each other is one tough guy. There you see Ron Asseltine, the linesman, directing Holmgren around. By the way, we've always called Asseltine Asselstein. Just in the last couple of weeks, we've been informed the correct pronunciation is Asseltine. There's Bob Myers. Meanwhile, minor penalties on the play to McCrimmon of Philadelphia, Sear of Chicago for roughing. All coming with 22 seconds left here in the second period. 2-2 is the score. Philadelphia had a 2-0 lead after the first period on goals by Ilka Sinicello and Darryl Sittler. But here in the second, Doug Wilson and Dennis Savard have scored. And as we've mentioned, Dennis Savard will visit our USA studio with Al Trotwig coming up in 22 seconds time. Len Hackborn on the ice for Philadelphia, now ready to take the faceoff. Steve Ludzik will take it for Chicago. Hackborn gets the draw, but Wilson gets it for the Hawks. And as he cleared it over the glass and into the crowd. That Ben Wilson has such a nonchalant air about him. Looks easy going, but when they drop the gloves, look out. There is Wilson heading for the Chicago bench. Now 16 seconds remaining in the second period. A 2-2 game. Chicago here at Philadelphia. This is Bob Murray to Wilson. Long pass up the middle. Sutter couldn't handle it. Howe going back to get it. And as he touches it, icing against Chicago. And with 5 seconds left, Philadelphia will get a faceoff in the Chicago zone. Kerr and Propp come over the boards for Philadelphia. Chicago will stay put with Ludzik and Darryl Sutter. There you see Tim Kerr, who's having a big year for Philadelphia. 17 goals. He's going to easily surpass his career high of 22 goals. Here's Doug Wilson for the Hawks, who won the draw, and Wilson will carry the puck out of the zone as the buzzer goes to end the second period here in Philadelphia. Shots on goal after 2 periods favor Philadelphia by a margin of 26-22 in that second period. 14 shots for Philadelphia, 13 for the Hawks. Coming up, Dennis Savard visits with Al Trotwig in our USA studio. The score after 2 periods of play in Philadelphia: the Flyers 2, Chicago 2. Chicago and Philadelphia. Last year, the teams broke dead even, each team winning a game, and the other game ended in a tie. To start this period, each team will be a man short. McCrimmon and Sear still have a minute 38 to serve in their roughing penalties. So 4 against 4 as we start the third period here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. The Flyers trying to break out of a 2-game home losing streak. The Blackhawks trying to win only their second game of the year on the road. Bob Myers ready to drop the puck. And here we go with third period action as Hackborn for Philadelphia got it into the Chicago zone. Bob Murray back to get it. Murray number 6 for Chicago. Now to Doug Wilson. Over on right wing to Gardner. That's broken up, and Rick Patterson has it for Chicago, number 26. Back to Murray. Return to Patterson. Cochran knocked it down, and Sinicello gives it to Cochran again. Rink-wide pass over to Thomas Erickson. Now Cochran. To Erickson as the Flyers back up into their own zone. Cochran headmanning it to Hackborn, number 11. Hackborn trying to go around Gardner. Drops it to Erickson. Shot it behind the net, and Murray has it for Chicago. Number 6, Bob Murray. To Doug Wilson. Wilson back of the net. Unable to make a pass. Cochran took him out of the play, and the Flyers come back. Poulin, number 20. Drops it back. Hackborn let a shot go that deflected wide. Poulin centering one. Crossman's centering attempt intercepted by Doug Wilson. Wilson with a long shot off the glove of Prose. And Crossman gets it for Philadelphia. Ahead to Poulin. Headmanning to Prop, but Keith Brown was there for Chicago. Back of the goal, Wilson for the Hawks. Stepped on Prop's stick and fell down. Ludzik gets it. He was upended, and we're going to get a penalty to Prop here for Philadelphia. Delayed penalty coming up. Now Wilson knocked down by Kerr behind the net. Chicago on the delayed penalty, drop it back to number 11, Sear. 6 men on the ice as the penalized players are now back on, and now as Poulin gets it for Philadelphia, a holding penalty called against the Flyers. Coast-to-coast coverage of the NHL is only on the USA Network.
The Honda Accord LX.
Up in the penalty box, a holding call at 2:08. And the Hawks, who have scored 1 power play goal tonight, will have the man advantage. The Hawks are 1 for 3 on the power play. Doug Wilson got the power play goal that we showed you just moments ago. So a chance here for Chicago.
Well, Chicago on their blue line having Keith Brown and Ben Wilson. I think either their set of defensemen, Murray or Doug Wilson or Keith Brown or Ben Wilson, very capable of performing well on that power play blue line.
Here's Ben Wilson to Savard. He gets it into the Flyer zone, throws out of the net, and he clears it into the crowd. So we'll have a face-off in the Philadelphia zone.
Well,
Darryl Sittler used to be with Toronto, now with Philadelphia, and he wore 27 with both teams.
I was going to say that must have been a husband and wife combination there, with obviously being Sittler fans.
Here's Savard against Sittler. Hawks get it to Larmer, back to Wilson, and this shot off a stick and into the crowd.
Dan, the Flyers right now, I thought that perhaps, and we see him, Prose that is, back in the net, just off to the right of our screen. He's fixing his glove. That glove, I think, was ripped somewhat when Doug Wilson took a long shot just earlier from the red line. I would expect that he would be replacing that glove or getting it repaired.
Here's Dvorak for Philadelphia, number 9. Miroslav Dvorak to Sinisalo, who scored a shorthanded goal earlier. This time his drop pass intercepted by Daryl Sutter. Shot into the Flyers zone. McCrimmon there to clear it. Hawks get it again. Daryl Sutter. Number 27, Sutter. To Savard. Centered it. Tipped away by the Flyers. Here's Savard again to Doug Wilson to Dennis Savard. Hawks setting up on the power play. And now over is Dvorak to tie up Savard. Wilson held it in, but Sittler is there to clear it for Philadelphia. Bob Murray now for Chicago. In across the line, Clark intercepting, and then McCrimmon shot at the center. Here's Clark for the Flyers. Bumped by Murray. Wilson now to Larmer. Chicago on the power play to Savard at center. Dennis Savard maneuvering brilliantly. Centered one, but Crossman intercepted it and shot it away.
To watch Philadelphia, when they're killing a penalty, quite often they are looking for that short-handed goal. They have one already in tonight's hockey game. Sinisalo. Clark is an expert at setting those short-handed ones up.
Here's Ludzik to Keith Brown. The Hawks have yet to have a shot on goal during this power play. Now Wilson with just 3 seconds left in the penalty. In across the line, scoops it to the corner. Penalized player for Philadelphia. Prop is back on. So the Flyers killing off that penalty very well. The score here in the third period, the Flyers 2, Chicago 2. We'll be right back.
Bobby Prose fixing that glove. I'm surprised that it wasn't fixed in the last stoppage of play. Rather dangerous when it's ripped as it was. You catch one of those pucks there, it's apt to end up in your net.
Flyers win the faceoff, and Cochran controls for Philadelphia. Over to Eriksson, number 6. Thomas Eriksson out of Sweden, dumping it into the Chicago zone. O'Callahan back to get it. Now, good work by Tim Kerr in the corner. Kerr centers one. Cochran shot blocked. Propp gets it for Philadelphia. On his backhand, over top of the net. Now the Hawks break back as Gardner, number 14, feeds it ahead to Marsh. Marsh trying to get it back into the slot area. Now behind the net to Gardner out in front, but cleared quickly by Cochran. Propp for Philadelphia as the Flyers have a 3-on-2. Poulin over to Propp, broken up by Boyd at the Hawks defense, and back comes Marsh. Marsh with a wrist shot, and that deflects off the Philadelphia defenseman Cochran up into the crowd, and another souvenir for one of the fans here at the Spectrum.
Randy Boyd for the Blackhawks getting a lot more ice time tonight in his second game as a Blackhawk. Let's watch this opportunity here by Propp. He goes to his backhand. You see it deflected, but notice just in front of the net, Murray Bannerman got wiped right out. Kerr coming straight across. Almost a pre-planned play there, Dan, to take out the goaltender as their other player is shooting, something the Flyers have utilized in the past years.
More and more teams seem to be going to that. From the face-off, it is Larmer. He's knocked down. Chicago's Wilson into Ludzik. Centered, it went right through the goal crease. Ron Sutter leaving it for twin brother Rich. Rich Sutter, but Ron was in ahead of the play. Offside, and the Sutter brothers now discuss the offside rush. Let's go to Al Trudwick.
Dan, here's an update what's happening in the NHL. Third period at Boston, the Bruins lead the Canadiens 5-0. In the third period in Hartford, it is the Maple Leafs 7, the Whalers 5. And in the third period in Washington, it is still 3-3 between the Flames and the Caps.
What do you think the Sutter brothers were talking about?
Well, I think one was getting an earful, Dan, because you don't go offside on your twin brother.
Here's Sittler dropping it back into the center ice area to Bourque. A long shot right to the goal post and then grabbed by Bannerman. Talk about a weirdo there. The puck got over Bannerman's glove, dropped in behind him. And he grabbed it right against the goal post.
Rich and Ron Sutter doing a little pushing there. That was a strange one. Must have been a little English or something on that puck. Let's take a look at it. Just a real floater going through the air. Bannerman thought he had it, but it dropped in behind him. And oh, for those goalposts, because once again in tonight's hockey game, that goalpost may have saved it.
Now we have Ron Sutter getting tossed out of the faceoff. It's in the Chicago zone. 14 minutes, 25 seconds to play in the third period. Flyers center one. Now it is Rich Sutter with a shot stopped at the defense. Coming up with it is Ludzik for Chicago. Cleared to center ice. Dvorak knocking it down. Now Ron Sutter knocked it back into his own zone to McCrimmon. But back of the play, a penalty called. And Ron Sutter, I believe, is going to get a penalty here for Philadelphia. Ron Sutter will go for slashing.
That is one of those penalties that Bob McCammon will not be too happy with. One that Ron Sutter will have to correct in the future, because at this point in time in the hockey game, 14 minutes and 6 seconds remaining, 2-2 tie, you can't take those bad penalties behind the play. Was that slash or spear? Let's take a look at it a little bit closer here. Watch from behind the play. The puck's nowhere even close, but Ron Sutter decided to take a somewhat of a slash there, and I believe it was on Keith Brown.
So Chicago with a chance on the power play as they work it to Brown at the point. On right wing to Larmer, back to Wilson. Wilson moves in and his shot blocked, and Crossman feeds Howe. Markow very dangerous in this short-handed situation, but this shot blocked at the defense. Ludzik to Brown. To Wilson, number 23. In across the line to Darryl Sutter. Hit the side of the net with that pass. Darryl Sutter now to Larmer. Crossman there to clear it away. Keith Brown holding it in. Ludzik and Marsh jam up against the boards. Now Darryl Sutter gets it free. Sutter tried to center off a skate and wide. Now Ben Wilson shoots from a bad angle off the glass. Comes right to Ludzik. Chicago on the power play. Ludzik, number 29, back to Brown, over to Wilson. Shoots off the goal post. Wilson just hit the post, and now Clark clears it for Philadelphia.
Ben Wilson really released a quick, accurate shot there right on Bobby Froese.
Here's Brown shooting it in. Crossman back for Philadelphia. Uses the boards to shoot at the length of the ice. 32 seconds left in Ron Sutter's penalty. Hawks can't get it out of there. Sittler for Philadelphia to Sinisalo. Back to McCrimmon. That shot wide of the net. Preston, number 16, for Chicago to Wilson. To the speedy Savard. In on right wing to Murray. Dropping it back, now Preston. Into the corner to Savard. He's tied up by DeBorak. Hawks get it to Murray. A drive, that's wide. Penalized player back on. Wilson centered it. Puck comes right to Ron Sutter out of the penalty box. Sutter, number 14, centers to Sittler. And Bannerman just got a piece of that shot. He came out to challenge Sittler and just got a piece of it. Puck behind the Chicago goal. And it's held there as Wilson had Ron Sutter against the boards. Now DeBorak takes a push at one of the Chicago players. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The National Hockey League is coming your way on the USA Network. With Al Troutwig and Gary Green, Dan Kelly in Philadelphia, 11:45 left in the third period. A 2-2 score between the Flyers and the Blackhawks. Here's Boyd for Chicago to Gardner. Tried to clear it in, broken up, and Erickson comes back, but he was checked. Now Gardner got it to center, cleared it to Marsh. Marsh into the Flyers zone and then dropped it back out. O'Callahan gives it to Gardner. Gardner with a centering pass cleared by Froese. Here's Poulin. Tried to clear it, held in. Here's Gardner. Shot and a big save by Froese on Gardner. Another shot by Marsh. And Froese had to cover up there. Flyers making a couple of big giveaways in their own end.
Very costly as well. Bobby Froese, however, coming up with some excellent saves here. Watch as Gardner right in that slot area releases a puck. Froese goes down, but up again very quickly. He's trying to clear the puck himself, at least in that corner area, but he's not getting an awful lot of help there in his own end zone.
Still a 2-2 game. Gardner on a face-off against Kerr, and they rule the puck was dropped unfairly, so they'll do it over again. Let's watch the face-off action as Kerr wins the draw for Philadelphia. Here's a bad hop off the boards. Comes to Gardner, to Patterson, poked away. Patterson again for Chicago. Trying to center it. Weak shot. Froese handles that, and Marsh has it for Philadelphia. Cleared it to center ice. O'Callahan knocking that down. And then it's shot down the ice by the Flyers. Boyd back to get it, and as he touches it, an icing call against Philadelphia. There you see the newcomer to the Blackhawks in his second game, Randy Boyd, former Pittsburgh Penguin.
Very difficult situation in last night's hockey game in Chicago for Randy Boyd. His first time in a Blackhawk uniform, playing in front of a hometown fans who you knew were all watching him very closely. He escaped the game without making any flagrant bad mistakes. Tonight he's getting a little bit more ice time, and the Blackhawks hoping that he will be as good as he was in junior hockey back in Canada.
Here's DeBorak. Got it to center ice. Brown intercepting, shoots it back in for Chicago. Brad McCrimmon for the Flyers. Now to the newcomer Hackborn, who clears it in on right wing to Sinisalo. Backhander by Hackborn, and Bannerman with a game saver there, perhaps. Hackborn again, number 11. Len Hackborn gets it into the Chicago zone. Sinosalo centering one. Comes to the point to Dvorak. Shot it behind the net. Big jam up in the corner. And Yaremchuk gets it for Chicago. Number 7, Ken Yaremchuk. Into the Flyers zone. Centered it, and it was tipped away by McCrimmon for Philadelphia. Long shot. Prose handles that. I thought on that last play, Yaremchuk would have been better off if he'd shot, Gary.
Well, I think, Dan, he had his head down, and he really didn't see where his other winger was.
Here's Howe for the Flyers. Shoots one. Bannerman a stick save, and Wilson controls the rebound. A clearing pass to Sutter will go all the way down the ice. And Erickson, with a good play, beat Sutter to the puck and touched it, so we get an icing call against Chicago. Interesting case. Thomas Erickson was with the Flyers, went back to Sweden, now back in the NHL with Philadelphia.
Bobby McCammon has been able to lure him back to this Flyer organization. He played the 80-81 season and then only one game in the 81-82 season before going back to Djurgården in Sweden to play. That is where he played last year, but he is back in the Flyer uniform.
Erickson said he was having difficulty adjusting to the North American way of life. Returned to Europe and Sweden, but is back in the Flyer lineup this year. 9:12 left in the third period. 2-2, Philadelphia and Chicago. Face off in the Chicago zone. Clark against Ludzik, and Ludzik wins the draw to Wilson. Wilson to Murray. Number 6, Bob Murray. Lets the shot go. Froze makes the save. Cleared it around on the right wing boards for Howe. Howe to Barber at center. Barber leaving it for Clark. He flips it in. Handled by the goaltender Bannerman. Shot on the boards. Now Erickson at the right point. Shoots at a stick save by Bannerman. And it deflects up into the crowd. You look at Murray Bannerman, Gary. How has Mark Howe looked on right wing in this game as he's played mainly with Clark and Barber?
Well, Mark Howe has some tremendous speed. He's been able to utilize that tonight, Dan. He's had some problems with his groin. That doesn't show up too much in tonight's hockey game. He's got an excellent shot, but I've noticed that Chicago have really been keying in on him. They have stayed close to him when he's had possession of the puck, and a lot of his shots have been deflected up over the glass.
There you see Savard and the young new defenseman Randy Boyd discussing this strategy. And that's Ron Sutter against Savard. Savard wins the draw. Boyd, number 2, has it for the Hawks. Cleared it, now Boyd again. Pass at center, but intercepting it there is Crossman. To the Hawk line, that's knocked down, and Ron Sutter shoots it in. Boyd back to get it. To Sear on left wing. Number 11, Dennis Sear, pinned against the boards, battles Sittler for the puck. Now Sear drops it back to Boyd. Randy Boyd shooting it over on right wing. Hawks fail to clear it. There's a tough check by Ron Sutter on O'Callahan. Now Bannerman got knocked down back of the net. And then O'Callahan went right after Rich Sutter. Play goes right on. Flyers back to get it. Here's Sittler to Rich Sutter. He moves in, shoots, and that was just wide. Rich Sutter, bumped by Boyd, cleared it behind the goal. And back comes Preston on right wing. Checked by Ron Sutter to Sittler. Darryl Sittler into the corner. Centered it out in front. Kerr couldn't get his shot away. Now Tim Kerr behind the net. Trying to get it in front, and Boyd shoots it away for Philadelphia. Crossman back to play the puck. It's an icing call against Chicago. 7:14 left in regulation time. It's Philadelphia 2, Chicago 2. Well, Coach Green, overtime looms in the horizon, doesn't it?
Boy, the momentum has been shifting back and forth from each team in this third period. You could well be right.
Here's Wilson with a lead pass to Patterson. Over on left wing to Marsh. Shoots. Big save by Prose. Rebound, and Patterson is stopped. Now centered to Marsh. Broken up in Poulin. Back for Philadelphia. Clearing it to Prop. Over to Poulin. Now to Kerr, and the shot is handled by Bannerman. And then Keith Brown comes over and pushes a couple of the Flyers around, including Tim Kerr.
Well, you know, Dan, both clubs have had some good opportunities in this third period, but the goaltending has been excellent. Bannerman playing well in the Blackhawks nets, and Froese has been exceptional during the whole course of the game.
Now you see Bill Gardner. He'll take the face-off against Tim Kerr. Kerr centering. Well, he's actually not the center, but takes many of the face-offs. He's out with Poulin and Prop, and this has been a good line for the Flyers. From the face-off, Hawks come up with it. Wilson shooting it on right wing. Flyers hold it in, but the Hawks come right out with Gardner leading the rush. Gardner's pass behind Marsh comes to Gardner, a shot. Skate save by Froese. Here's Marsh. Centered it, and Wilson's backhander wide. Bounced in front off those lively boards that we've talked about. Back comes McCrimmon to Dvorak. Miroslav Dvorak knocked down by Brown. Fans holler about that. Philadelphia holding it in. Here is Kerr. Gets turned around. Low shot handled by Bannerman. Now into the corner. Hackborn tries to center. Back to Hackborn, to the point to Sinisalo. Bannerman out of the net to clear it himself to center ice. Under 6 minutes left in the third period. Here's Sinisalo. Fires the puck into the Chicago zone. It's centered. And coming back was Marsh to take Hackborn out of the play, and they holler about that here in Philadelphia, but no penalty call. Philadelphia. The number 11, Len Hackborn. Hackborn has looked right at home for Philadelphia, Gary.
Yes, he has. Very aggressive young center iceman for this Flyer team.
Here's Wilson leading a Chicago rush. In on left wing to Ludzik. Shoots off the skate of Froese and into the corner. Two Flyers try and pry it loose. Ludzik gets it for Chicago. He centered it. Nobody there to get it, and Murray has it at center ice for Chicago. To Ludzik. 5 minutes left in regulation time. A 2-2 game. Puck shot in by the Hawks. Cochran quickly cleared it right back out. Now it's knocked down by Savard, who held it in, and Cochran again back for Philadelphia. Off the boards to Paul Holmgren. Shot to center. Brown gives it to Wilson. Wilson shooting it in. Cochran works it free to Barber. Barber checked by Savard. Now Clark tied up on the play. Clark kicking it free to Erickson back of the net. Here's Erickson, number 6, to center ice. Leaving it for Clark. He centered one, and Barber just failed to get a stick on that, and Preston cleared to center for Chicago. 2-2 the score. Clark for Philadelphia. Leaving it for Crossman. Shot it to the corner. And Wilson has it for Chicago. Wilson on left wing to Sear. Now to Brown at center. Right wing pass to Preston. Preston ridden out of the play by Marsh. Back to the net. Centered one. But Crossman is there. And the Flyers come back. It's Barber, number 7. Rips the highlight off the glass. Sear gets it for Chicago. Now to Barber. Preston knocked it down, but Mark Howe for Philadelphia carries in. He gives it to Sutter in front to Barber. Barber knocked down by Murray, and there'll be a penalty there to Bob Murray of Chicago. And he throws his stick in disgust.
Well, Bob Myers has really let some things go on both sides.
For our local systems, we'll pause. This is the NHL on USA.
How are you telling?
A not too happy Bob Murray is in the penalty box. Interference to call. 16:41 the time.
Well, I'm not so sure that perhaps Bob Myers didn't call an additional penalty on the Blackhawks. We'll have to wait and see. But there was some arguing going on over that call. Myers went to the penalty box one more time, whether that was to clarify the call or to make another infraction on the Blackhawks.
There you see Bob McCammon standing at the Philadelphia bench. He's standing right up on top of it. He wants to get some kind of an explanation from Bob Myers, and now the Chicago bench and Tessier. Only the one penalty is on the clock, an interference call against Murray.
Well, Dan, as I had mentioned just prior to that, Bob Murray was really letting the teams play hockey. There was a little bit of hooking and grabbing going on by both hockey clubs, but he didn't want to make that call unless he absolutely had to, because he didn't want to have a penalty be the result of who was going to win this game, but it may well be now.
Philadelphia 0 for 3 on the power play tonight. As Brown gets it to Gardner, he can't clear it. Prop centers it. Comes to the point to Kerr, over to Dvorak. Shooting, they score! Brian Prop deflecting it in.
No sooner had we said what could happen, and it did happen. Watch this shot by Dvorak. Beautiful redirection here by Prop. You can well see why Brian Prop is leading his club on points this year. That is his 16th goal of the season. Very difficult one for Murray Bannerman to try and save. Those deflections in front of the net are a goaltender's nightmare.
Prop's 16th goal of the year, his 33rd point, which tops the Flyers. A power play goal, and Philadelphia takes the lead. So the penalty to Murray was very costly.
Well, I am sure that you will hear Chicago complain about that one, Dan, because...
All right, Coach, if that penalty had been called against you, would you have been upset?
Dan, when penalties were called against me when I was a coach, I was always upset.
Here's Prop, who just scored the goal, to Dvorak, who just set it up. Philadelphia into the corner. Now Kerr back of the net, centered, but Ludzik is there to intercept. The scoring play was Prop from Dvorak and Kerr. 16:55. Now back comes Larmer with a shot right on. Larmer behind the net, couldn't center it. Flyers clear it. Brown held it in. A shot. Froze the save. Big rebound. Now Wilson at the point. And Kerr blocked his shot and knocked Wilson down. Here's McCrimmon. Moving in, shoots, and a big save by Bannerman there. The Blackhawks clear it to center. Just over 2 minutes left in regulation time. Number 29 is Cochran. To Clark. Flipped it in. Murray going back to get it. Murray cleared it on the boards. Now knocked down by Clark. Clark into the corner. Wilson intercepts and feeds Savard. Savard tried to dance his way through the defense, but was checked. Wilson cleared it. Erickson right back for Philadelphia. Leaving it for Barber, and a sliding block by Doug Wilson. Over to Rich Preston. Shot in. Big bounce off the boards. Cochran can't clear it, but Erickson is there to get it for Philadelphia. Thomas Erickson. To Barber at center ice. Now Preston drops it back. 1:15 left in regulation time. Flyers lead 3-2. Then Wilson, booed as he has been all night, flips it in. And Howe cleared it right back out. Comes to Ron Sutter. He was checked to the line. Now Ron Sutter dropping it to Crossman. We're in the final minute of regulation time. Flyers shoot it in. Bannerman. Bumped by Holmgren. Now Holmgren and Wilson back of the net. Puck comes loose. Ron Sutter trying to freeze it in there. Couldn't, and Ludzik comes back to Larmer for Chicago. 37 seconds left. There goes Bannerman to the bench. 6 attackers for Chicago. It's centered. Cleared away. Savard held it in with a good play. Now to Keith Brown. Brown centered, and Larmer's shot went off of Marsh into the corner. And then Ron Sutter clears to Sittler, who misses the open net. Another chance for Philadelphia. Holmgren stopped by Doug Wilson. 10 seconds left. Savard on the attack. For Chicago, F6 attackers to Wilson. Wide by several feet. And the game is over. Doug Wilson had a good chance, but misfired on his shot.
I think that was one of those typical cases where Doug Wilson knew that time was against him, that clock was running out. He tried to get that shot away so quickly that it really just kind of went wide of the net. He really didn't get it going where he wanted to get it going, unfortunately for the Blackhawks.
A penalty call to Bob Murray at 16:41 proved costly as Brian Propp scored on the power play to win it for Philadelphia. Shots on goal, 34 apiece. Orville, Tessier, and the Blackhawks. None too happy as they head for their locker room. Coming up, you'll meet our USA MVP. The final score here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Philadelphia 3, Chicago 2. Our post-game activities coming right up.
Game tonight. It'll be Thursday night NBA action from the Forum in Los Angeles as the Lakers take on the Kansas City Kings. The Kings, led by Larry Drew, are an exciting team to watch, while the Lakers are trying to fill that giant hole created through the injury to Magic Johnson. That'll be tonight, coming up at 10:30 Eastern Time, right after our hockey coverage concludes on USA Sports. Right here, the final score, the Philadelphia Flyers defeating the Chicago Blackhawks by a score of 3-2. For the Blackhawks, their problems continue. They've only won 1 in 5 on the road. The winning goal in the third period scored by Brian Propp, his 16th of the year, from Dvorak and Kerr at 16:55, with Bob Murray of the Chicago Blackhawks in the box, and that proved to be a very, very costly penalty, but a very opportune goal for our USA MVP, Brian Propp, who's in our studio with us now. Brian, it was a very competitive third period, I thought, when your team had control the first, Chicago the second. For your team that was working very hard tonight, I thought it was an appropriate way for the game to end.
Well, I think he let a lot of penalties go tonight, and then he finally called one at the end, which I think they deserved. But our power play's been working pretty good lately, and we just haven't been putting it in. And we just, Dvorak made an excellent pass, and I just tipped it in. And in a close game like that, it can really help you win the games.
Well, we're going to get a chance to take a look at the winning goal for the Philadelphia Flyers, scored by Brian Propp. And perhaps, Brian, if you remember what happened during that time, you can tell us exactly what you remember of it.
Well, I think right off the face-off, it went into their corner, and their guy tried to clear it and hit one of our guys. And Timmy Kerr picked up the puck, and he passed it back to one of our defensemen, and he passed it over to Dvorak, and Dvorak hit me off to the side of the net while I was going to the net.
Well, you played with Dvorak enough to know whether that was a shot or a pass, which was it?
Well, I think it was a pass because he likes to go that way, and he saw me cutting towards the net, and he made just a perfect pass right on the stick.
One thing we saw tonight, and we discussed it a little bit at length in the second period, was the way your team uses the boards here to great advantage. Tell me about that.
Well, we have enough wingers that are strong along the boards, and when we take the puck out of our end, we put it around, and our wingers are going to tie up their defensemen or else get the puck out most of the time. And the size of our wingers and their knowledge of the way we play the game, it helps us a lot more than other teams, I think.
What I was really talking about was the way your team knows where the puck is going to go. Bobby Clark will bounce it almost flush off the boards, and it bounces in front, so there's a little bit of trigonometry involved.
Yeah, well, that was a different one, because I don't think I've seen that since I've been here 5 years. I think he was trying to pass to me in the corner, and it came out right in front of the goal there. If another guy would have been standing right in the crease, he could have tapped it in, but maybe we can use that play to an advantage later on in this season.
You've been playing very well. You had 2 goals in the loss to Hartford on Sunday, and tonight you scored the winner. How would you see the season so far?
Well, I think as a whole, our team is playing pretty well, and our line has been working pretty good together, Davey Poulin and Timmy Kerr. And we've been using a lot of hustle and just getting on top of the other defensemen in their end, and we've been creating a lot of chances, and I think we've been doing pretty well.
We've spoken to a few of the players with the Flyers, and it seems that Bob McCammon has moved players from right to left. I know Darryl Sittler's on the off wing now, and Doug Crossman, who was in here before. Have you been affected by any of that movement?
Well, I've been stayed at left wing, so if that was my position, and I'm still used to it. He switches the lines around a little bit, but the person just has to adjust to whoever you play with.
How do the Philadelphia Flyers feel as a team right now? They had that little slump for a while. They dropped from the top spot in the Patrick division, but now you seem to be playing better. You had that road trip with a great game against Edmonton. How do you think the team looks?
Well, I think we've been coming along the last 2 weeks. That road trip really helped us a lot because it got the players together for a week or two, and everyone gets to know each other a lot better, and you go places together. And you play better on the ice. I think we've almost played better on the road than we have at home this year, and I think it just gets the team unity together, and that's what really every team needs, I think, to win.
There are a lot of hockey fans on Rush Street in Chicago that are very concerned about this Blackhawk team that's only won 1 of 15 games on the road. How did you think they looked tonight?
I think they played a great game tonight. They really checked really well, and they had a lot of good chances. Our goaltender got first star. Otherwise they could have won the game easily. And they're really coming along good now, I think. And I think they played an excellent game tonight.
Of course, they've got some injury problems like your team does, and that's just a fact of life in this league. You have to overcome it somehow.
Well, it seems lately every team has a lot of players that are getting injured, and every player that gets injured, if he's irregular or not, I think it hurts the team in a little bit of a way. And you just hope that the injuries aren't too serious.
Brian, how do you think the schedule looks at the Philadelphia Flyers through the rest of this year?
Well, I think we've got a good road trip coming up in January, and I think other than that, we were at home quite a bit, and so we just keep on playing and winning the games, and we'll be happy.
Brian, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks, Al.
Brian Propp, the winning goal scorer tonight's hockey game, the Flyers winning 3-2. And for being our USA MVP, we would like him to have from Toyota and the local Toyota dealers a great-looking reversible ski vest from Toyota's fine line of sportswear. And from Levi's, a pair of Levi's Action Wool slacks, the dress pants that combine good looks and stretch comfort with the ease of machine washability. Levi's Action Wool slacks from Levi's Menswear. And so tonight, the Flyers leading 2-0 after 1, then 2-2 after 2 periods, and Brian Propp scoring. It was, again, that very unfortunate penalty to Bob Murray, of the Chicago Blackhawks. We now take you out to the Forum in Los Angeles, where Eddie Doucette and Steve Jones are standing by to tell us what they're going to be doing.
Thank you, Al. This is the fabulous Forum. We're out west, Englewood, California. Magnificent weather outside and not bad inside. And hello, everyone. I'm Eddie Doucette, and with me, Steve Jones. And Steve, tonight the Kansas City Kings, a revitalized team against the Los Angeles Lakers, minus Magic Johnson with a little assist from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I think we're going to see a game tonight with an up-tempo effect here. I think that we'll see a little bit of running. Now, can Kansas City control the Laker break?
They can't control the Laker break. No one can control the Laker break. The Lakers will try to run after every score, after any missed opportunity. What Kansas City is going to have to do is make the transition offensively and defensively and hope they can get Los Angeles in a half-court game.
I think what we have to do is make people aware of the fact that Kansas City's got a lot of nice young talent. We'll talk about it when we come back. And, of course, the Lakers are the Lakers tonight without Magic Johnson, but with a very interesting cast, and young Byron Scott will get a start. We'll have it for you when we return. Right now, we're heading back east, and we'll send it along the way to Al Trotway.
And so Eddie Doucette and Steve Jones will be back in just a little while as we will return to the Forum in Los Angeles for the Lakers and the Kansas City Kings. With the win, the Philadelphia Flyers have crept up to the New York Rangers with 2 more points. The Rangers with 38 points, tied with the Islanders. The Flyers now have 35, although they played a couple of less games than the Rangers have, so that Patrick division is getting tighter and tighter. Up to the broadcast booth we go now to Dan Kelly and Gary Green for their final thoughts. Gentlemen?
Okay, Al. I thought it was a heck of a hockey game for a start, Gary.
Really was an excellent game. Some good action back and forth. And then, unfortunately, right at the very end, a controversial call, definitely in the eyes of Chicago, which determined the game as a result of that final goal for Philadelphia.
Bob Myers called a penalty against Bob Murray, and while he was off, it was Propp scoring the winning goal. I thought prior to that, Myers had let a couple of plays go where he might have called a penalty against Chicago. He didn't, let it get by, and then called the penalty against Murray, and the Hawks are infuriated.
Well, Dan, you know, I think that sometimes the referees in those cases at the end, I think that Bob Myers had given Chicago some breaks just prior to that. And you hear the terminology, the marbles in the pocket, and I think that subconsciously they do keep track of how many breaks in the end of the game. The referees do not want to determine the outcome of a game, but I think that one little extra move by Murray finally was just a little bit lopsided then, and he gave him the penalty. I think Chicago was fortunate in another way that they didn't give Murray, that Bob Myers didn't give Murray even a greater penalty because he slammed his stick after the call. He gave referee Bob Myers the choke sign, and that could have really cost him.
Meanwhile, this Chicago team with only 1 victory on the road, they certainly didn't look like a bad road club to me tonight. I thought they played very well.
I thought they played well, and I can see now what Orville Tessier is actually saying, that his club has played well defensively through the course of this slump that they have been in, especially on the road, and he said that to us yesterday. He said, we've been playing well defensively, Gary. He said, we just can't get enough goals to win a hockey game, and that was obviously the case tonight.
One of the reasons was Bobby Froese, the Philadelphia goaltender. Bob McCammon told me before the game he's going to alternate goaltenders, Froese and Lindbergh, and let whoever wins that battle be the #1 goaltender. Froese really put a leg up tonight. I thought he played well.
He did, and he put a lot of pressure on Lindbergh for the next game because Froese was alert right from the very opening of the game when Chicago tested him a couple of times quickly from the slot area. So I think that Froese has kind of gone ahead in the standings right now as far as keeping track of which is the best goaltender. Lindbergh is obviously going to get an opportunity next. Both goaltenders played well tonight, Dan. Bannerman played well in the nets for Chicago. It was just all in all a good hockey game.
We mentioned a couple of times that Mark Howe, normally a defenseman, has been moved up to right wing. They need some scoring punch on the right side. Can the Flyers afford not to keep Howe back on that blue line as a defenseman?
Boy, you'd like to see twins out there in this particular case because Mark Howe is so valuable to this hockey club, when he's healthy especially. And I know that their right side is in need of some goal scoring. Other than Tim Kerr right now, they're not getting a great deal of that. McCammon is concerned with that, but again, as you'd mentioned, with Howe's abilities back on that blue line, the way that he can shoot the puck from the point, the way that he can move that puck out of his own end zone, I don't know. I'd be tempted to put him back in the blue line.
I guess a lot will depend on whether the Ericssons and the other people can get the job back there with Howe up front.
Well, I think a key guy back there that they're really looking for improvement gradually is Doug Crossman. We heard that he played well at the first of the season, then kind of tailed off, and now is starting to play better again. When they made that deal, I think that they were really looking for some help on the blue line, and maybe that would give them the flexibility of moving Howe up front. It doesn't much matter in tonight's hockey game. They won the hockey game, so they probably will go right back with Howe in the next game.
Quite a game it was, a 3-2 Flyer victory. Back to you, Al.
Okay, Dan, so that is the story. Brian Propp's goal at 3:05 of the third period gives the Flyers a 3-2 win over the Blackhawks. One other final score we have to report. The Boston Bruins have increased their lead over the Buffalo Sabres in the Adams division to 3 points now. They were a 6-2 winner over Montreal. That was in Boston Garden tonight. So that is the story from Broad Street in Philadelphia. And remember, next week we're off. We'll be back the following week on the 21st from Madison Square Garden in New York. Tonight's game has been brought to you by Light Beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. By Mobil One Synthetic Motor Oil. You can't get better engine protection. By Toyota, who reminds you it's a good feeling to buckle up for safety. And by Levi's Menswear, makers of Levi's Action Slacks and Action Jeans. Here are the specifics on the next game we mentioned. December 21st is the day, 7:30 Eastern Time. 4:30 on the West Coast. It'll be the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers from Madison Square Garden in Midtown Manhattan. But for now, for Dan Kelly and Gary Green, I'm Al Trautwig saying good night from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The executive producer for USA Sports is Jim Srick. Tonight's game was produced by Mark D. Stolbergen. Our director, Frank DeVincentis. USA Sports associate producer, Tim Rapley. And our production coordinator, Barbara Travers. The National Hockey League is a sports presentation of USA.